Coming up on this episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover.
To actually make it, to the big game, the brightest lights of all. I mean, even that's surpassed all of my most, positive, optimistic expectations. But you just got to take it, right? Because in a one-off game, could be a 7th Lombardi in our 12th appearance.
Thanks for joining us at Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We're here to give you our comprehensive Super Bowl 60 preview. It's the Patriots against the Seahawks out in San Francisco, and we're here to break down the big game. We've got two fantastic guests, one from each side. We're going to share all our best bets, Super Bowl picks, everything from the coin toss to the anthem, everything and beyond. And we're even going to talk about the final head coach hirings of the many that have been in this cycle. Joining me, of course, is Byron and Joe, my wonderful co-host. Our last preview of the season. We're 70-odd episodes in. It's the 4th of February when we're recording this. We've made it through another year pretty much, guys. How are you both feeling ahead of the big game?
Good, yeah, well rested. Feel like we've had that Pro Bowl week off as well. But yeah, ready to go. Not like rusting up or anything. Just hitting peak on the road to 300. So yeah, feeling good.
On the road to 300. We should definitely. I'd be disappointed if we don't hit 300 winning bets on the Super Bowl, given where we're at. We're at 290 something. So it's been a great season. Let's hope we can finish off strong with some winners, some big winners, hopefully. Joe, how are you feeling ahead of the Super Bowl? I mean, you're hosting the Super Bowl after all.
Yeah, and biggest rivals playing there for the win. It's not always fun, but it should be a fun one. I think it's a combination of kind of teams, and this year feels like it could be a competitive one. Maybe not as high scoring as other years, but I still think it's going to be a fun one.
Well, let's not put dampness on some people's bets already, Joe. We've got two great guests, but we've got Skye from the Pat's Pals podcast and the franchise tag for the Patriots, and in the opposite corner we've got Mitch from the 12 Talk podcast. Both guys we've had on during the season, so great to hear their thoughts ahead of the big game for their respective teams. But before we get to the guests, we've got the remaining head coach hirings, and we'll rattle through them a little bit. Let's start with the Buffalo Bills. Kicked out Sean McDermott after getting beat in the divisional round of the playoff by the Broncos, and then hired from within. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, has got the job. Let's get your facial reaction there. Obviously, watching on YouTube, you just saw Byron's just like huff around Joe Brady. I'm guessing you don't think this is a great hire, Byron.
No, I don't think it's an improvement on Sean McDermott. Also, at start and finish point, I think if you're going to make a big change, the Bills have been the most successful in terms of wins, in terms of points scored, points allowed since 2020. They've been the most successful team in the NFL. Obviously, they haven't won a Super Bowl. They haven't made a Super Bowl. I'm just not really convinced that. Truthfully, I think Brandon Beane has acted in a power struggle with Sean McDermott. He's got his own way, and he had to fire him to kind of double down on that. So I don't think Joe Brady's. I think he's in a lot of pressure situation. I'm going to be taking the Bills under next year, presuming that it comes in around the same range it normally does. I think it's a big ask for a first-time coach to keep up these incredibly high standards Sean McDermott's had the Bills at. I think it was a panic firing, and I don't think they've hired especially well. We could be wrong. Obviously, I could be wrong, sorry. But, I'm not filled with confidence for them.
Joe, your thoughts? Are you similar thoughts to Byron, or do you think Joe Brady might actually be a good hire?
I think what I struggle with the Bills, so it depends. If Joe Brady if there was anyone else sniffing around and they want to keep him in the building, that makes sense. It just feels this roster is ready for a reset, and that defense just was getting old. And I think Sean McDermott might get a lot of flack, but I think he coached up that defense quite a lot, and it was more his in-game decision making and coaching what helped the Bills be where they were. And there was that awkward press conference when he was saying, they didn't want the wide receiver, the GM didn't want it, and then there's lots of videos of him wanting Keon Coleman. If he ran a certain time, we'd definitely take him. He was a bit like, come on guys, like we're not daft. It feels like it is, like I mentioned, a scapegoat. And they obviously brought in Jim Leonhard from college to be the DC, and that puts in that position now. Like if he doesn't hit the ground running and it's going into the Josh Allen show where he's having to score, tons of points. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how quickly they can turn it over, just because the offense was stagnant in terms of the wide receivers and the tight ends haven't drafted great, and that defense was getting old and they need a lot of changes. So it's a gamble. Obviously, having Josh Allen helps a lot, and it might help Joe Brady have a few years. He's not suddenly going to be one of these one and done kind of coaches, but I don't think they're going to hit the heights they did a few years ago, because I think it's going to take a while to completely change this roster to be as Super Bowl contenders as they were probably a year or two ago. But having Josh Allen certainly helps.
Well, from one eyebrow-raising hiring to another, the Cleveland Browns hired Todd Monken, the only team to have interviewed Todd Monken during this cycle for head coach. This seems, we got the word that it felt like nobody really wanted it. They made candidates jump through hoops to do quite ridiculous things during the process. And they've obviously kind of screwed themselves out of Jim Schwartz a little bit as well, because it kind of felt like he was going to be the man, and he's definitely not going to stay. It's a mess. What do you make of Todd Monken, former Ravens offensive coordinator, as Browns head coach?
I've liked Todd Monken enough as a OC. I think he's a pretty good play caller, by and large. But nobody wanted this job and nobody wanted Todd Monken as a head coach. So I think that's kind of telling. I don't have much confidence for it. I don't think I'm not sure I wanted Jim Schwartz as the head coach either, but I think that would make more sense. The defense has been really good. I just don't really trust Jim Schwartz as the head coach. So that's kind of my takeaway there. But yeah, the Browns have, once again, it's the process of everything with Cleveland. Nothing makes sense. It doesn't feel like the right hand knows what the left hand's doing. People were pulling out of the coaching interviews because they just weren't interested in the job. Even, like Mike McDaniel, who ended up taking an OC job, pulled out of it. Other coaches pulled out as well, who ended up taking head coaching jobs. And I mean, shout out to Todd Monken, though, for the biggest lie of the entire process. I think when he greeted Shedeur Sanders with, "We were trying to draft you," for a player who went 144, I believe. He went in the 140s. If Baltimore wanted Shedeur Sanders, he would be a Baltimore Raven. Let's be very clear on that. So, yeah, great bullshitted straight off the bat from Todd. I'll give him his due there. But, yeah, I don't think he's turning around the Browns to be a playoff team, or I don't think it's going to be a successful hire, truthfully.
It just feels like a strange one, because they're in a big offseason again. They traded with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who went up to take Hunter, and they've got kind of those 2 first-round picks. It feels like they've got to get it right if they're looking to improve. Like, it's a huge opportunity, and you've got Andrew Berry still there, and then Todd Monken, who feels like the most one-and-done head coaching candidate I've ever seen in the NFL.
Well, the next head coach will get to pick his franchise quarterback in 27. When there's a good quarterback class and not nobody that the Browns will be taking in the first round.
Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's just when you think of like, what did you get rid of and what have you brought in? Is there an improvement? Is there kind of structure? I understand with Kevin Stefanski, it may have grown stale, or it may have gone sideways, but they must have thought when we fired Kevin Stefanski, they weren't thinking it's going to be Todd Monken. You would expect it to be one of these younger, up-and-coming, exciting offense coordinator or defense coordinators where you can see a long-term vision. And like you said, you just don't see that. It's curious what happens with Jim Schwartz. Is he going to stick around, or he's done a good job as a defensive coordinator in Cleveland, but is he going to be one to be under a guy who he probably thinks, why did he get the head coaching over me? He was like down to the last 2. It wasn't like, oh, there's a clear front run and it makes sense why they've gone with that person. So obviously, that could be a huge change. And yeah, I just don't see what they gain out from it. And like you said, just with the roster as a whole, I know they had a decent draft last year, but the GMs had absolute stinkers in free agency, and a lot of his contracts re-signing, like the O-line and plenty of other players where he's not being able to assess players within the building. I can imagine him going next year as well. So yeah, like you said, it feels like it's just a typical Browns where it's going to be another 3 to 5 win season next year, and we're here again saying, oh, what are the Browns going to do next? It just, with some of the other hires, I'm like, okay, this, it's not always going to work. We had the huge hiring a few years ago and most of them have been fired, but you just want some positivity and some like great outlook. And it was just, I couldn't imagine being a Browns fan. It just felt like, oh, they've hired Tim Duncan and everyone's forgot about it. No one's got excited about it. It's not amazing.
Excellent. Let's move on to the next one. Then again, another franchise that just feels like they're not particularly going anywhere. It's the Arizona Cardinals. Now we've got John and Jay Gruden. We've got Jim and John Harbaugh. We've got Mike and Matt LaFleur now. Mike LaFleur, Rams, obviously goes to the Cardinals and takes on that head coaching job. Mike LaFleur stays in the division. Feels like this is another tough gig. What do you make of LaFleur? Mike LaFleur to the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's an old idiom or an old adage or anything, but I don't think flowers bloom in the desert, and I don't think Mike LaFleur is going to bloom in Arizona. I'm not sure what is the compelling argument. You know, you have the OC job in New York, where it's the only place he hasn't had it on a spoon, essentially, and those offenses were dog water. He didn't have great talent. He did have Zach Wilson at quarterback. He did have Joe Flacco at quarterback, though. He went on to show that he's actually still relevant in the league and should still be relevant in the league. I've not seen anything from Michael LaFleur that inspires me that he should be a head coach. Matt LaFleur was a good play caller in Tennessee, and then he absolutely hit the ground running in Green Bay. Mike LaFleur, I don't have any confidence in doing so. Big quarterback decision coming up this offseason. I presume they're going to keep Kyler Murray and pending someone being silly and giving up something really valuable for him. And that's going to kind of, I think, define how he does. Can he get the best out of Kyler Murray and make this offense work? It's a very tough gig, and they are in a brutal division. Like, there's no polite way of saying it. Sorry.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue is, so like you talk about Matt LaFleur coming in, but he went in with like Aaron Rodgers and a set roster and a set, like, you can see where they're going. The Arizona, we have no idea where they're going. Like, it feels like it's such a big, another rebuild from them. And being a young, offensive coordinator where, like you said, it didn't have the best time in the Jets, then suddenly be able to like come into a division, which is like you said, a tough division, and be able to just change it around that quickly. I'm not quite sure. I think they should have gone the opposite end. I know they went for a defensive coach last time, but someone like the Seahawks went for Mike Macdonald, who had proved that he'd stopped Kyle Shanahan and also Sean McVay. Why don't you go with someone like Vance Joseph, who's proved as a Broncos DC and elsewhere, where they can combat that kind of defense? I don't know, by going for a lie to Shanahan, a lie to McVay, that's going to beat them kind of teams, because you haven't got the defensive coordinator, the defensive nous to stop that, because you're going to build your team around how they do it, and I just don't think he's as good. So I think it's bad. Like, it could be a good head coach, but again, this also feels like a team where you're a bit like, oh, okay, they've just struggled to find a great candidate. Let's just go for the fun offensive coordinator, who's technically probably not the offensive coordinator in LA Rams. That's obviously Sean McVay. So yeah, good for the 49ers and the NFC West, but yeah, maybe not great for the Cardinals.
It's interesting. This is the sixth Cardinals coach in a row that they've hired, or head coach who hasn't been a head coach before. And maybe they should have broken that pattern this time, and maybe someone with a bit of experience and things like that might have been a wiser route to go down. But obviously, it's not I suppose it's not the done thing, is it? But it kind of feels it's not really worked for them greatly, I guess, when you look at kind of the last few. So we're on Gann, Cliff Kingsbury, Steve Wilkes. I suppose Bruce Arians is a slightly different one. He had an interim head coaching experience. So it was a long time experienced coordinator and one, he's a little bit different. Wiz and Hunt, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then Dennis Green. And like I say, there's only kind of, Wiz and Hunt took them to a Super Bowl, but had a less than 500 record. And Arians was kind of the only successful one.
Yeah, and if you're Ben Johnson was never going to go to the Cardinals if it was available last year, for example. Like, your top John Harbaugh wasn't going to be going to the Cardinals. Like, they're shopping in the second-rate basket at best.
Yeah. And then the last one that hasn't been confirmed yet, but someone's coaching in the Super Bowl this week. Clint Kubiak, the Seahawks offensive coordinator, is pending to be the Las Vegas Raiders head coach. what do you make? Kubiak, obviously, the Saints last year, Seahawks this year, potentially winning a Super Bowl. Yeah, what do we think of Kubiak to the Las Vegas Raiders? Joe, why don't you go first on this one? Byron always gets to go first.
Yeah, I actually like this one. I think I prefer this one.
Finish on high.
Over LaFleur. I think what's like, we talked about LaFleur not really being the OC and not have like, Kubiak is the OC, is the offense in Seattle, and it has proven to be explosive. I'm sure Byron is going to come up with the stat of the New Orleans. Like the first 3 weeks, it was like the best offense last year when he was there. And I think he can bring that across. Obviously, he's going to have a new quarterback, a rookie quarterback, and what he did with Sam Darnold. I know he obviously had a good time with the Minnesota Vikings, but we always sat here when he moved from Vikings to the Seahawks being like, oh, why have they done that? It's just stuck with Geno Smith. Is this the right move? And he's proved that he's able to coach up players, and just his style of play, like the explosive play, that might be fun in Las Vegas. You know, if anything else, have an exciting offense, because this year was just drab, and playing the play action kind of offense he does. Hopefully that should help Genti, reach his potential as well, and maybe get him to the level where we all expect him coming out of the draft. So I actually like this one. We'll see, all of these, we'll see how it goes, but at least you're going for someone who's ran an offense himself and has been successful, and could be that kind of coach, which helps rookie quarterbacks, and he's got weapons on that offense. Yeah, obviously, the defensive hire for all of these is huge as a coordinator, because again, that's a putrid defense.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll be shocked if we don't get to the 23rd of April and it's not Fernando Mendoza's name called at that number 1 pick for the Raiders. I don't necessarily think it should be, because they're not in a position. Anyway, that's draft preview. Byron, you have your say on Kubiak.
Yeah, it's almost like I did go first there, because Joe basically nailed exactly what I was thinking. I'm glad we left it to last, because it's good to end on a high note. I think it's a really good hire. I think Kubiak's proven that he can scheme good offenses with not necessarily the most enthralling pieces going into a season. I don't think any of us were super high on the Seahawks offense going into the year. I'll hold my hand higher than anybody on that one. And again, with the Saints, when everyone was fully fit, that offense was rocking with Derek Carr. And then with, the hodgepodge of quarterbacks had to trot out when he was injured. Yeah, I think this is a really exciting hire. I am interested to see kind of the culture fit with Tom Brady, with Mendoza and Clint Kubiak. I think 3 kind of different characters, so we'll see on that. And, there's been a lot of talk they need to do so much in terms of strengthening the offensive line, this, that, the other. It's I really think scheme is so important. That doesn't feel like that bold of a call, but I think it's something that gets forgotten an awful lot when people talk about these hires. You might have this 70 out of 100 in terms of your offensive line, and if you've got Pete Carroll's son calling it, they're going to look like 30 out of 100. And if you've got Clint Kubiak scheming it up, they might look like 80 out of 100. It can be that simple. So I trust him to, get good stuff in place. And I agree. I think, especially getting an experienced DC, I think Sean McVay's first DC was one of my all-time favorite Cowboys coaches, Wade Phillips, son of Bum. And I think getting someone like that in place would be real important for kind of establishing the defensive culture. Maybe we'll see bye to Max Crosby in Vegas. I think that's very much in play. But that gives them tools to retune everything, get some draft capital in. Obviously, they can spend what they want. They're not paying anybody really a high wage. So, yeah, I think this is an actual optimistic one. And it's an interesting division, but I don't think it's quite as... it's certainly no NFC West in terms of fear. The Chiefs obviously on a down year. Chargers we expect to be better next year with a better offensive line, but a couple of injuries away from disaster all the time. And the Broncos, who knows? So, yeah, maybe see the Raiders be a bit more competitive sometime soon.
Excellent. Right, that rounds up our NFL coaching cycle chat, and should do until the summer, I guess, when we do division previews and stuff. It is the Super Bowl week, of course. Reminder, this is our Super Bowl preview. And what happens on Super Bowl week? The Hall of Fame class gets announced. 2 names that won't be being announced as part of the Hall of Fame class of 2026. Head coach Bill Belichick, the New England Patriots fame, of course, 6-time Super Bowl winner, most playoff wins, second most wins, all the accolades, and also Robert Kraft as the kind of I can't remember what the title in the Hall of Fame is, but it's like owners and stuff like that. Contributors, that's what it is, called contributors. I feel like that one's a little bit more cut and dry, the Robert Kraft one. That's definitely just down to the rub and tugs, isn't it? That one?
Probably. There is also a really high bar for owners. Like, Jerry Jones shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, I don't think. Like, he's just a big character. I don't think he's done, like, anything to revolutionize the game of football. Robert Kraft's been on a really successful franchise, or owned a really successful franchise, but I don't know. The owner one kind of sits a bit weird with me, truthfully, anyway. So I don't really care if Robert Kraft gets in the Hall of Fame, I must say. Like,
well, cool. Well, let's go to the headline story then. Belichick not making it as a first ballot Hall of Famer. It just seems ludicrous. Is this some people kind of getting their pound of flesh from maybe some of the scandals, like, you know, Spygate, etc., or the way the tenure ended, or his post NFL behavior?
Isn't it? Maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but like, isn't it just widely accepted that it's just Bill Polian rallying his mates because Bill Polian was a pathetic little loser in the NFL and he's a pathetic loser now as well. Like, he got carried by Peyton Manning to his one Super Bowl as a GM. He's been a pathetic crying baby about how good the Patriots were during that time. He's cried about his sins. I think that's the start and end of it, really. There might be a couple of people who were like, I thought Belichick would get in, so I voted for someone who has only got another turn or two left, which is a pathetic way of doing it as well. Vote for the people you think should be in the Hall of Fame, and it'll take care of itself.
The system itself has been, is maybe needs checking. But I think, the line from Polian to say he couldn't remember whether he did or did not vote for Belichick. I feel like if you didn't, you would know that you didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, it speaks to Bill Polian's lack of character that you can't even put his name on it. I think it's pathetic. I would kick him out of the voting process. It's clear he's been a laughing stock for as long as I've known football, which is getting on for a few years now. This is a guy who said Lamar Jackson should be a wide receiver, famously. And I don't think he's done bad as a quarterback. Yeah, he might not have as many Super Bowls as Bill Polian yet, but he is like one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history by accuracy, which seemed pretty good for a wide receiver, not even running back. That's all it is to me. I think it's an absolute disgrace, truthfully, that Belichick isn't in. I almost feel like the Hall of Fame should intervene and just be like, okay, you people don't get a vote again. We'll get 11 new voters next year, and Bill Belichick's in the NFL Hall of Fame. Because, like, it's really hard to give it credibility when... And I'm certainly no Belichick lover. Like, I called for him to be fired the year he got fired. I think his post-NFL stuff has been an absolute embarrassment to him. But you can't have an NFL Hall of Fame about Bill Belichick. Like, he hasn't murdered anybody. He got punished at the time for Spygate. And even the Spygate stuff, you know, you had... Mike Shanahan was asked about it, and he's like, yeah, we would have been doing it if we'd thought of it. Everyone is stealing signals all the time. Like, you can speak to the legality of it and whatever else. It wasn't some game-breaking cheating. And again, I don't like the Patriots. Like, this doesn't fill me with joy to say. But, like, Peyton Manning wants your defensive signals every single week. He will get them, and he will adapt accordingly. And this is at the time, obviously. I don't think it's that fussed nowadays. The idea, and the Patriots got punished and their reputation got dragged through the mud because of it. Fair enough. You don't re-punish them again when they've retired. Like, it just isn't how it's done. I think it's a disgrace.
Yeah, I would just say it feels a bit like the way like Terrell Owens didn't get in straight away. It just feels like they've got like an agenda. It's not about are they a Hall of Fame or not. It's they have an agenda with that person right there. And even like if they take, you know, the Spygate, Deflategate, he's still a Hall of Fame coach after that as well with how many Super Bowls he went after that. And if they're going to not put him in, then you can't put Tom Brady in first time. If that's going to be their, you know, how they categorize and how they decide. And Tom Brady is clearly a first ballot Hall of Fame. So I think change is going to come because I think obviously the Terrell Owens was big news, but, you know, the media could, but like this is like Bill Belichick is a first ballot Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about it. And if they're going to be able to vote for it, I think they should be able to see who's voted for what. I think that should change as well. If you've got the luxury and you've got the honor to do that, then you should be able to put the name out of who you voted for. So you can't hide away and not say anything. And when it's as this bad as this, because it's just like, it's crazy. Like if the three who's going to get in that category or whatnot, if you put them side by side with Bill Belichick,
Yeah,
what
it's
he's
insane,
done and what they've done, then there's no doubt about it. So it's I think a lot's going to hopefully change from that, because it makes it look a bit pathetic, a bit like what happened with the Pro Bowl with some of the players going into the Pro Bowl. I think this week's not been great for the NFL in terms of like that kind of like, what's the point in caring of some of this when it's this much of a joke.
Yeah, I think they record and televise almost every aspect of the NFL. From obviously we've got Hard Knocks and things like that have developed over the years, and we get more and more behind the scenes footage and stuff like that. Stick a camera in those discussions when they're kind of when whoever's responsibility is to pitch for whoever it is, film that, make a series out of that. We'd love to see that. That'd be great. Film that and televise that. That'd be great. I'm not sure if the Hall of Famers will get announced tonight on Thursday night at the NFL Honors. Think probably Drew Brees, Larry Fitz, and somebody else. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know, shortlisted, I must say, for my sins. So.
Yeah, Larry Fitz, I think, should definitely go in.
Certainly should.
Yeah. First time. Anyway, we'll see. That's that anyway. That's all the news anyway. Oh, and the last couple of minutes, actually, we'll talk about this more in the offseason. NFL's coming back to Madrid. Madrid's got a multi-year deal off the back of hosting its first game last season. The Saints are off to Paris. The New Orleans Saints going to be having one of their home games in Paris next year. I think they're probably going to end up going to go to that one, probably. The Saints hosting a home game there. And with that, I feel like there's somewhere else, but I think that's it. That's 9 international games confirmed. Australia, Brazil, 3 in London, Germany, Paris, Spain, Mexico was the other one. Mexico City, which I think is likely going to be a Cowboys game. We'll see.
Makes sense.
Cowboys and Niners heavily rumored for that one as well. Cool. That's all the up-to-date NFL news. Let's head to our first guest. It's the Patriots guest up first. We've got Skye coming back. He was on a few weeks ago from the Pats Pals podcast, member of the franchise tag crew. We caught up with Skye before his flight to San Francisco. He's out there now. He's been doing some great bits on Radio Row this week. So, here's Skye with the preview from the Patriots perspective. First up in our Super Bowl 60 preview, we've got returning from only just a few weeks ago. We've got Skye from Pats Pals and, of course, the franchise tag. Skye, welcome back. 2 appearances in quick succession, but for a fantastic reason, because your New England Patriots are in the Super Bowl. First of all, how good is it hearing that again?
I'm over the moon, Paul. Thanks for having me on again. Honestly, I can't. Well, we did speak off air about me saying I can't believe we made it. I was quite positive, obviously, back in week 16. So it's not that I knew we'd make it, but you know what it's like. The closer you get, then naturally as a fan, you start to question little bits. But to overcome 3 top 5 defenses and be in the big game in May and Vrabel's first season together, I mean, I'm not going to say it's been a long time because a lot of other fan bases have waited long, but it's been 8 years for us. So,
So, I mean, kind of when Vrabel and we probably talked about this a few weeks ago, to be fair as well, but kind of when Vrabel and Drake May, more when Vrabel came in, I should say, in January, you knew they were going to be better. You knew the floor was going to be solid. You knew they'd become quite a good team quite quickly. Do you kind of feel, did you ever expect them to get to this point in terms of, 14 wins, 3 playoff wins, and you're in the game again? We just got rid of the Chiefs. We were going to have a break. We're going to have something new, Skye. We're going to have something new from the AFC, but we've gone back to the New England Patriots. Yeah, I mean, how has it been then, just that turnaround from back-to-back 4-13 to here now?
Well, I mean, in the off-season, when me and Shane on Pats Pals did the prediction game, like Chris Brockman had done his version with Rich Eisen as well. I was 11-6 with 1 playoff win. I think because I think the schedule narrative has been pushed too hard now because it has been an unpredictable season. But going into the season, we did know that obviously there were some favourable matchups. So I was always confident of double digits. I think most people in New England were probably 8 or 9 or 9-8 on this team. But to actually make it, to the big game, the brightest lights of all. I mean, even that's surpassed all of my most, positive, optimistic expectations. But you just got to take it, right? Because in a one-off game could be a 7th Lombardi in our 12th appearance.
Yeah, and that's it. Sometimes we talk about you don't know if you're ever going to get back to that point. And yeah, it might have been 7 years. Some of us are waiting 30 years just to get to a conference championship, Skye. So yeah, you definitely exactly. It just sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But yeah, take it certainly for sure. This run in the playoffs, you mentioned the three, the schedule merchant stuff. We've been, we've been having a laugh about it and pushing it as well a little bit. But credit where credit's due. Drake May and that offense has had to go up against the Chargers, Texans, and Broncos defense, 3 of the top 5. And as you mentioned, nobody's had to do that before in a playoff run. Offensively, how have they sort of navigated this gauntlet of defenses? Because the Seahawks is the 6th ranked defense from the regular season. Yeah. They're pretty goddamn good as well. How's the offense navigated its way through these 3 games so far?
I think most people would obviously point to the Patriots defense has obviously helped our offense out a lot, but that's what you need in these playoff runs. And, just to touch briefly upon the NFC Championship game, I think the thing that let down the Rams was that they couldn't really sustain a consistent pass rush. Whereas we've seen the Patriots pass rushes, I think it was like 72 pressures across the first 2 games. Obviously got a lot of pressure on, at least in the first half before the weather kicked in. I think there was some good amount of pressure on Stidham. So that's helped Drake May in this offense with, some better field positions. But I think the main standout for me, Paul, has been, the way that Drake May has sort of thrived in the big moments. We talk about that touchdown pass to Butte, the big scramble in the Chargers game just before halftime to go up by a field goal. Him calling his own audible in this Broncos game to get that winning first down. For a young quarterback to, be doing these in all the key moments, it's not always one play, but we all focus on those key ones. And if you can at least deliver in those, then that's obviously been the big difference. And you even hear Stephon Diggs, the way he's talked about Drake May. I think it's one thing talking up your teammate, but he's been particularly complimentary about what Drake May's done, and he's impressed. And I think that speaks volumes as well.
Yeah, I think it very much does feel like the formula and the building blocks of old Patriots teams, especially on the offense, in terms of there isn't necessarily the stars. Like Stephon Diggs isn't, like he was as a one receiver, for his time in Buffalo or with the Vikings. It's all just bits contributing, bit by bit, that's ultimately making it more than the sum of its parts, which was a key to so many of those Belichick teams. Again, kind of this matchup against the Seahawks feels like it's going to be a real tough one. We talked a little bit off air about some gambling pieces around. Patriots are underdogs here. They're potentially going to be really big underdogs by the time we get to next Sunday because a lot of the money's on the Seahawks already. How's that position for you in terms of actually being the underdog, and maybe the expectation isn't on the Patriots like it has been in so many of these big games before?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of enjoying the underdog tag. I mean, obviously, it was even prior to me watching the NFL by just a couple of years, but the 2001 one where the Pats beat the Rams, this Seahawks team does feel quite complete in that regard. Not a greatest show on turf, but we spoke off air that there's not really any weaknesses really in the Seattle team. So I think it makes sense that most people are making them favorites. But when I've sort of, looked at when I was looking earlier about the teams that we've played in the same teams that the Patriots and the Seahawks have played, we're both 6-1 against those respective teams. And I think that is something worth looking into. You look at familiar opponents, even on the sort of NFC and AFC side, both teams are 5-0 against opposing conferences this year. The one thing I would say is that the Seahawks played 3 playoff teams, but they did also play the Jags and the Texans in the middle of the season. So we know that they blossomed late, and the Pats beat the Texans when their defense was probably at the highest of their powers. So there's a lot of, I think when you dig deeper into sort of some of the narratives that are out there are cases to be made for the Patriots having a chance in this game. I don't think a Mike Vrabel team, like we said off air, is going to get blown out in a Super Bowl. But I'm sure him, Josh McDaniels, and the whole coaching staff are probably reveling in the fact that people are downplaying it, because it means you can go about your business for the next 12 days. And then hopefully come Sunday, your game plan does better than the Seattle one, and then you walk away with a trophy.
Yeah, it's an intriguing one. It's a rematch of, and I'm sure you'll love hearing this in the bill, of course, the rematch of Super Bowl 49, the Malcolm Butler play where they just refused to run Marshawn Lynch. again, does that again? It's hard, isn't it, when the gap's so big between those games? But that would have been earlier in your time watching the NFL. Does that kind of give you some confidence? Because again, that Seahawks team equally was a great Seahawks team. It was a great Patriots team. It was a classic Super Bowl game, a fantastic one. Does that give you some confidence around, you've beat these guys, and it's not these guys, but this franchise in a big game? Does that, again, is that mental, psychological edge that kind of between the two franchises, or is it just, does that sort of thing not matter?
I think I've learned this the hard way, that it doesn't matter, and that I watched both Giants Super Bowls and tried to tell myself it was different. I know that was only 4 years apart or 5 years, but of course we lost both of those. But with the Seahawks, yeah, because I think they were saying John Schneider, the GM, is the first GM to have a complete overhaul of the roster and make 2 Super Bowls. I mean, credit to him massively. As much as I don't think there's anything we could take from that, you said about how great that Super Bowl was. I still think that was probably the most entertaining. Like, I would show that to a neutral. It was actually the first time ever that a team had come back from double digits in the fourth quarter. People forget that. Brady against one of the best defenses we've ever seen. That also, I think, gets hidden amongst that interception about how good the Patriots were. But to compare something that happened in this game to what could happen, in that game to this game, Josh McDaniels in that game, Shane Vereen had the most catches in that Super Bowl out of the backfield just because of the pressure that could generate. I do think a key here is probably getting Stevenson and Henderson involved, because we know how good the Seattle secondary is. It's going to be those short to intermediate sort of passes where we probably will see Drake May, being implemented a Tom Brady sort of game plan, I would say, in this matchup.
Yeah, I think that's such a game of chess to develop here, because we've seen kind of the Rams had a lot of success, or the Rams O-line had a lot of success, I thought, against the Seahawks. They kept Stafford pretty clean. That Rams O-line isn't necessarily one of the top tier elite O-lines in the NFL. We've seen in the playoffs the Patriots O-line struggle at times. Poor Will Campbell's getting a lot of heat and a lot of stick, and the short arms talks come out again about Will Campbell. It's a shame, because I think he's going to be a great player. He's had such a good season. I suppose how you mentioned kind of that short passing game and the dump offs and not letting the pressure. How else can kind of the Patriots negate that? Because it feels like that's a big advantage the Seahawks have got.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks have been quite the biggest sort of margin that I've seen in just trying to find anything in a Seahawks team in terms of a weakness. Yeah. So they're blitzing very low throughout the regular season, below 20%. But they've also generated the third most pressures, which obviously speak to how well the front is. But actually, within the numbers, they've given up the second most yards after the catch. So I think, whilst it's repeating the same point, it holds and runs true to it's going to be one in Drake May not holding onto the ball too long, like you said, because our O-line has struggled a bit against some of these better defenses. And yeah, it's going to have to be a very low turnover game, I think, for the Patriots to have a chance to win. And Drake May's had some fumbles. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say there's been 2 very bad weather games, but let's hope the nerves are out of the way now, and it can at least be a positive. But I guess the other thing is, if we look on the flip side of the ball, maybe a victory or path to victory for the Patriots would be the fact that you're only really dealing with Kenneth Walker now. I know he did do well against the Rams, but Charbonnet being out, and now that there's tape on Halani, I think that maybe helps us scheme up a bit more against their running backs.
Yeah, and it feels like this defensive front in particular, the Patriots, it's been pretty good and solid all year. It feels like it's taken a step in these last 3 weeks in the playoff games. And again, first 2, maybe the argument is that they feasted on some poor offensive lines that the Chargers and Texans had, but they continued that against the Broncos and put Jared Stidham under a lot of pressure. And the Broncos, who have a really good offensive line, were made to look ordinary. I suppose, how can they continue to do that against this Seahawks team when the threats are, you mentioned kind of Walker, but JSN can get out quickly and others? How do they get to pressure Sam Darnold, I suppose, and not let him get the ball out?
Yeah, I mean, when it's like you and I've watched the NFL for a long time, you see that sometimes when you watch a game, because we don't get that camera angle of seeing what's going on in the secondary, and then wondering when a QB can throw the ball away. I think what I'm getting at is Carlton Davis, Christian Gonzalez, they're going to have to be on their A game to at least allow, even if it's an extra half a second or second, for that pass rush to be able to generate something through the O-line. I think if the Seahawks receivers are on their day and things go their way, then it is going to be hard to maybe even have time to get to Sam Darnold, because he's actually, for all of my criticisms of him, or maybe a lot of people thinking he's going to drop a bad game at some point, he has got the ball out of his hands quickly. And even when he's taken sacks, he's responded well. So I think it's just, in a way, you want to stick to your defensive game plan without getting frustrated if you don't get that pressure early. We see in a lot of these Super Bowls, the pressure does come later, especially in the second half. So maybe that's the play.
Yeah, and that's maybe where obviously it matters the most, and you'd expect them to keep it close. And I think the key with Darnold, especially on Sunday, was that when he did get pressure, the Rams did get to him, he made just smart decisions, got rid of the ball, took the sack, didn't try and make any of the hero plays we've seen, like maybe CJ Stroud the week before when you guys played them, for example, would be trying to make sort of the hero play when it's not on. It doesn't seem that Darnold's in that space now. There's so many matchups. I think that one's potentially key. You've talked about the secondary. Is there a situation you can see where maybe Christian Gonzalez just follows JSN and just tries, and they just try and go with him with some help and just take Gonzalez? That's your job in the Super Bowl. Try and keep JSN quiet.
Yeah, it could be an element of that. I guess, we saw with Jake Bobo got a touchdown. Cooper Kupp still doing his thing. Shaheed's good in the special teams, but he can make plays. I think all season, Patriots have been very good. Vrabel's been great at scheming up things to allow people to at least target Christian Gonzalez. A lot of people do what you said, and they'll just say like that's your job. Yeah. Zach Kerr, who's sort of gone under the radar, stepping in for Terrell Williams pretty much all season. He's also been good at dialing things up where they're at least forced to throw Gonzalez's way. So whilst he might, man cover JSN for the most part, I think schematically there'll at least be some bluffs and some looks where maybe we could hopefully catch one of their receivers off guard, and then Gonzalez pick six is what I've talked myself into.
Nice, excellent. Well, those are the big plays. We've seen kind of the turnover battle be key, and we've seen in these playoffs again. Whatever game you've watched or however you choose to watch your games, you'll have heard the TV coverage or the Sky Sports guys or whoever mentioning hammer home in the playoffs in the however many years. You win the turnover battle, you win the game 80% of the time. And again, that feels absolutely massive and is likely going to dictate where we go. And I think that's, you're looking at for and against or make a case. That's certainly, I think, where you make a case for the Patriots, because they don't turn the ball over very often. They don't make mistakes. They don't beat themselves. And that's an avenue maybe they can come out on top. We've talked a lot a bit. We've got a little bit off plan a little bit, but talked a little bit about all these different bits that are going to make up the game. Again, it's so hard to put it into one thing because it's going to be such a fantastic game and battle. What would you think is the most important battle the Patriots have to win to take home that seventh Lombardi Trophy?
I guess the one, like you're saying, is to just, as much as I could focus on the yak yards and receivers doing that, I think with Drake May, there will be opportunities for deep threats at some point in the game. So it's not just all about that. From an offensive standpoint, I would say the one key thing is just to stick to the game plan. Whether McDaniels, dials up, if it doesn't get going early. I'm sure there was a run of Patriots Super Bowls where we don't ever score in the first quarter. So as long as I think it was at least a good 5 of them. Just stick to the plan and see what happens there. But I think the key thing is, whilst it's banging the same drum, Sam Darnold has been ahead a lot in these playoffs. I'm not taking away anything he did in that Rams game, but if we can get ahead and then put the pressure on him, then that is really where we're going to see is can Sam Darnold do it when it matters most? He's been at home. Now we're at a neutral stadium. A lot of things can go wrong in these games. We've seen even Peyton Manning drop stinkers, So I'm hoping that is the key one, to get some pressure on him and maybe see ghosts one more time.
Make him play from behind. And that's again, there's great stories here. There's the resurgence of the Patriots. Sam Darnold, nobody wanted him. The glandular fever mono, seeing Belichick making him see a ghost, all of that, all those teams that cut him and didn't want him, and now he's playing in the big game. But again, the Patriot story is, great for some people, not for us all. but ultimately they've earned their way to be there. Skye, tough. We see in these Super Bowls as well. Sometimes it is a complete unknown, somebody we haven't really heard of, or a player that's been on the periphery of the of the roster that makes the play. Malcolm Butler could be a great example of that, but it makes the winning play on. Has a performance out of nowhere that we don't see coming. Is there somebody on the New England Patriots that we've not really seen through this season or hasn't received much attention that could be kind of the deciding factor here in this one?
Yeah, I think there's a handful of people, at least in the receiving core. I mean, I know when it's your own team, you focus on them more, but Kyle Williams had that big play against the Ravens. He could be one. Efton Chisholm, I mean, I was singing his, praises in the preseason, but he's a utility guy who can do it all. Maybe we'll see something special teams, or McDaniels are going to dial some sort of trick play up at some point, whether it be a flea flicker or an Edelman to Amendola throwback. So maybe, one of those two guys, or even Demario Douglas. I mean, whilst people will know him, I think we do see, like you said, in these Super Bowls where it's maybe not your wide receiver 1 or 2, and it's another guy who can expose their matchup and do it there. And then potentially on the defensive side, I mean, for, a lot of people who've been talked about in terms of the pass rush, I think, Chason has been good at key points, and I'm pretty sure that his contract might even be up coming this offseason. So we saw it with Milton Williams and the Eagles last year. He obviously put on a big performance, and now he's on our side. So maybe Chason will do his own thing to get his own payday.
Yeah, it could be one, but it just feels like in these games it's just somebody out of nowhere at times that comes up and makes the biggest play, because there'll be plenty of big ones. Not to put it on you, Skye. You're a little bit out of before the game. Give us a score prediction for the Super Bowl.
Wow!
I know,
For all the viewers, for all the prep that you very kindly gave me, I mean, I should have known that was coming. Surely, part of the Super Bowl preview, that is it. But maybe, I think I love a good caveat. I think if we keep the Seahawks to under 25 points,
cool.
I would say the Patriots win. I think if it becomes a shootout, then clearly they've played on their terms and not. So with that all in mind, I'm going to say 24-20 to the Patriots.
24-20. Look, we want a close game. We want an exciting one. We want it to go down to the very end. 24-20, a 7th Super Bowl.
What about you? Am I allowed to ask Paul? Have you got a prediction?
Yeah, I think at the minute I'm thinking that the Seahawks are going to win, but the Patriots are going to keep it close. I'm thinking like 21-17 Seahawks, but we're 10 days out. That will likely change. That's kind of my gut feeling at the minute. Is I think that the Patriots will keep it close, but the Seahawks will just have enough to prevail. I think it's a fascinating game.
I know it's easy, but I think that 25 point we talk about in these big games that we say about that Pat Seahawks was 28-24, the last one. The big thing going into that was because of how elite their defense was with the Legion of Boom. If the Pats could go above 25, they'd win, and we saw that. So, yeah, I think it's almost a similar sort of storyline here. You would maybe the Seahawks are the more balanced team, so you would favor them in a higher scoring affair. But if the Pats can make it a dirty game like it has been the last couple, then I like our chances.
Yeah, on that note, the Patriots have won in all manner of ways through the 2025 season, through, whatever blizzard or whatever that was on Sunday against the Broncos. Inclement weather conditions, but they've won against top defenses. They've hammered teams, they've hammered bad teams earlier in the season. They've ground out wins against bad teams as well. They've won close games against good teams. How much confidence does that give you, knowing actually there's not one route to victory here for the Patriots? There's not like a formulaic way to win. They just find ways to win in every different circumstance.
Yeah, and I mean, as much as coaches joke about the fact that they would probably not rather have it easy, but it's all well and good winning all the time. I think as much as it's going to bring back old memories, the Giants Super Bowl we lost the first one. The amount of Patriots fans I know who would say there was almost points in that season where you rather lose a closer one. And I think that loss that we had to the Bills in Gillette really helped, realign the focus before we did that preview with the Ravens. And since then, you've seen a clear mentality of like, whatever the game is, whether it, like you said, it be scrappy or a blowout, we at least know the fundamentals now of getting running backs involved. Drake May not focusing on one receiver, using, the whole armory of guys that he's got, defense mixing it. I mean, Paul, even the things we saw, like him, Vrabel bring out Tonga and Milton Williams.
Yeah, yes.
Only Vrabel is going to do that. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that again in the Super Bowl. And these all, going to ways in terms of the team mantra and, like you said, winning in different ways. I don't think this is a team where they are stuck on a certain identity, just because a lot of these guys have had to scrap up from other rosters and practice squads. So I think they really will thrive in the moment. A lot of these guys, it might be their only chance in the Super Bowl. So it could, whereas I think on the Seahawks side, you can say whether they stay in Seattle or not, there's a lot of superstar potential there for them to have long NFL careers.
Yeah. It just feels like they just know, especially when it comes to late in those games, and they just know what it takes to get it done. And that, again, is another element to it, which is fantastic. Skye, you're going to be there. You're going to be out in San Francisco, the Bay Area. Guess we should call it the Bay Area, because it's nowhere near San Francisco, is it really? But
no, it's massive, which I only found out looking at the map.
So you're going to be in Santa Clara, San Jose, and everywhere else. First of all, how excited are you just to be getting to go to around a Super Bowl where your team's taking part?
Yeah, it's a bit surreal. I mean, like watching the NFL since 2004, which sounds weird to say out loud now. We're talking 22
You don't look old enough to have been watching the NFL.
Thank you, mate. It's very kind. I think I'm probably one of the few people who likes to shout about being in his 30s, just so people don't think I've been watching for 5 minutes. But yeah, to go through, we talked halfway about like starting the podcast 3 years ago. You guys, me joining the F tag 3 years ago. To go from scratching an old itch of when I was a journalism student to now being able to go to the Super Bowl. Last year was cool, but the fact that this year it's my team, I think it's just sort of like, it's going to be great, whatever happens. But obviously you hope it ends with a win, but to be around Vrabel, the players, Boston media, let's just hope you hear a British voice in some of those questions if I could squeeze in.
I'm sure we will do, Skye. I mean, give us an idea that you mentioned to touch a little bit around kind of what you're going to be up to, but what can we expect to see? What are you getting involved in, and what can we look forward to? Kind of, we'll see it all over your Instagram, the franchise tag page, and the Pats Pal pages, of course, as well. But what can you expect to see you be getting up to?
Yeah, I guess, so Radio Row is always great. You get a lot of people where, who are not even there, part of their team, and they're all doing their own podcasts and episodes. I mean, like, last year we had Emmitt Smith walk past us. We got talking to Adam Rank for most of the week, and found out that him and I have a shared love for Seal. So if I can find a weirder story than that this year, you'll be sure to see that on socials. But obviously there'll be a lot of player content in terms of interviews and interactions. Last year we had the Fox Media Day where there was Gronk and Edelman. I don't know. Even though I know it's Collinsworth and Flory, I don't know why I've gone blank of what network it is, but
NBC,
we will have their guys there, so I'm sure there'll be an NBC day. There'll be a media party, but I don't think you'll find many people talking about what happens during the media party, so there might not be coverage of that, but it will at least be interviews every day, just soaking up the atmosphere. I think that's what people like, right, in the week to the game, is at least getting content of seeing how things are building up as fans arrive. Because by the Friday, people just want it to be kickoff, don't they? Once I'm sure even the players and stuff, when they get that Super Bowl Monday out of the way, you just want kickoff to come round. Probably not because you want a game plan, but in terms of that excitement. Like, imagine you said about Stephon Diggs. He's been in the league for such a long time. If you said he'd make a Super Bowl before Josh Allen when he left Buffalo, no one would believe you. So guys like that, if I could just at least capture a 10% of their excitement, then that would be great.
Excellent. I'd love to go get the Bills dig in as well before you.
I know. I think I managed to do it almost without being too hard. I mean, my caveat's always usually that I like Haley Steinfeld's music and movies, but Shane says that's not quite the right out for still giving the Bills grief.
Well, this is like it's the you've gone through that rebuild and got there before the Bills and Josh Allen have. The Jets sitting having to watch a quarterback they kicked out of town and didn't want get to the Super Bowl and watch you guys get there again. It's just hell for these teams in the AFC East.
But well, I want to feel sorry for the Jets, but I'd say I don't. I mean, as much as I like New York as a city and Larry David, New York legend, I think the Jets fans, it could turn eventually, but it just feels like there's a curse on these other AFC East teams because Miami have not even won a playoff game since I started watching the NFL.
No,
So,
yeah.
At least the Jets made back-to-back AFC title games.
They did. Yeah. I mean, and what happened to that? We don't need to talk about that. I don't think he'll be at your media party anyway next week.
That would be great, but no, I don't think so either. But yeah, it just it'll be interesting to be in a big city compared to New Orleans. New Orleans is quite walkable, accessible. Yeah. Like you said, this area in California is massive. But I guess that's part of the beauty of the Super Bowl, and that you get to soak up different parts of such a big country and a big state.
Excellent. Well, Skye, have a fantastic trip. Have a fantastic
Thank you.
time. Can't wait to see what you get up to and what you share and all the content and interviews and questions and all the jazz that comes with it. I want to say best of luck, but I don't know if I'd really mean it. But enjoy, have a great time. I sincerely mean that, and hopefully we'll have you back on maybe in the off season, in the build up to next season as a Super Bowl champion again or not. Who knows? To talk more about the New England Patriots. But have a great time, Skye, and thanks for coming on, buddy. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for having me, and everyone watching. Make sure you check out the Super Bowl bets coming from these guys. They usually do very well. So it's the last game of the season till September.
That's it. Last chance to win or lose some money, and we'll be having stakes less than $2,000. But we'll hopefully make some money for the people. But Skye, have a great time, and we'll see you soon, buddy.
Thanks, Paul.
We've got our second guest of our Super Bowl 60 preview, and we hop over to the NFC representative, and we're joined by returning guest and friend of the show now. It's the third appearance in a season. We've got Mitch from the 12 Talk podcast. Just Mitch, no Josh. He's covering other media commitments because you guys are very, very sought after this week. Mitch, welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
I'm really good. I'm full of cold, moving house, so sore back, sniffly nose, trying to get it all done now so I can actually take a day off on Sunday, believe it or not. So yeah, just getting through the week, I think, at the minute is kind of how I am. But actually, nice distraction.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you jumping on and giving up some time when we know you're extremely busy. We know just that from you guys popping up, which mentioned kind of on so many different shows and podcasts, and we had Josh on the radio the other day as well. So yeah, appreciate you carving out some time for us and making it a hat trick of appearances as well on the show, which is always good. I've just moved house not long ago. I feel your pain, Mitch. It's fucking brutal. It is horrific.
It's not great.
So glad we can be a bit of a distraction for you. You are obviously one half of the 12 Talk podcast hosts. Give us a shout out. Let's promote the hell out of the 12 Talk pod first. And you've got a little bit of something special happening on Sunday. If you want to let us know about how you guys are watching the game.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, so I am one half of the 12 Talk podcast. We are a podcast as well as a community for 12s across the world. So we started off creating a podcast for UK-based Seahawks fans, but as we've grown, we have 12s from I think nearly 30 nations now in our Discord, and so it's a really cool multicultural community that talk any time of day. In our Discord, there is a conversation going on in some corner of the globe between 12s, which is a brilliant thing to wake up to. That's really cool, and we're growing in the UK, but also abroad in the States. But yeah, it's a platform for Seahawks fans to talk to other Seahawks fans across the globe, and we also like to get those fans of the show and 12s onto our show as often as we can as well, so that give the fans a voice.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen that. We've seen kind of plenty of the clips and episodes flying out over the course of this playoff run. And yeah, no doubt you'll have more to come. Give us a shout out. Like I say, it's the handle's at 12 Talk Pod on Instagram, and there's the link there, LinkedIn, the link tree with all the links to where you can catch the podcast and the audio and video versions of it. But yeah, you've got something pretty special happening on Super Bowl Sunday. If anybody is a Seahawks fan who doesn't know, where should they be going?
So in Birmingham, Broad Street, and specifically O'Neill's, we started off sort of offering some reserve tape, some spots at some reserve tables to fans of the show and the UK Seahawkers organisation. That we got 30 seats originally. They ended up moving that to 50 seats because we sold those seats real quick, filled up the venue. There is still plenty of space for anyone else that wants to make their way down to O'Neill's on Broad Street, because they've bumped us up to their function room, which has lots of screens. So we'll have our own space. We won't be allowing any Pats fans up there. So if you want to go and watch the Seahawks in an environment where you are just surrounded by Seahawks, mostly, find your way up there. We'll also be providing a charity auction for our charity of choice, which is the Robin Cancer Trust, who are a charity that supports testicular and ovarian cancer in the UK, sufferers of and families of past family members who have suffered with that. So it's a brilliant cause. We've got holographic edition match programs from the Super Bowl shipped into the UK, which are being given away on the raffle. So if you want to go and watch the game and have a match program, not only a match program, a special edition holographic version, you can come and buy some tickets and donate to a fantastic cause as well.
Excellent. Get yourself down there if you've not planned anywhere to watch the game yet. Even at this late course in the week, you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, get to Brum, get to Birmingham and go join Mitch and Josh and the rest of the 12 Talk community. And yeah, it'll be a grand night. And yes, they sound like some awesome raffle prizes as well. Really cool. Yeah. Let's get into, I suppose, Mitch, a little bit of how we got here. The Seahawks in the Super Bowl. We talked to you guys, I want to say it was week 9, I think it was, we had you guys on. And so kind of that was at the point where the Seahawks had a great start to the season, maybe gone a little bit better than a lot of people was expecting. And maybe even, I think you guys said you were a little bit surprised about how well it was going. You were expecting to be good, but you were flying. And he's just not stopped since then. He's just not tailed off at all. Speak to kind of how the back half of the season has been, and I suppose what has impressed you most, or is there any, I'll say that, what surprised you most about the Seattle Seahawks team, being able to kind of just stay at that level all the way to this point?
I think it's the model of consistency that we've played out on defense, that, you know, what we've created on defense with the personnel at multiple levels, the leaders that we've scattered throughout the team, combined with depth and youth that were well drafted, great free agent pickups like Tank Lawrence, and he's been so good. So I think it's a couple of years of really good recruitment, which realistically started before Mike McDonald. I mean, players like Devin Witherspoon now are, you know, one of the best corners in the league. Yeah. They're obviously a Pete Carroll era pickup from the Russell Wilson trade. So there's this blend of well-drafted rookies that are now veterans and searching new deals and who improve it sort of contract years. So they are at the peak of the sort of motivation. You've got, when you look at the free agents we've brought in, the trades we've pulled off, we've only ever traded and brought in free agents that have won nothing. Players like Leonard Williams, players like Tank Lawrence, they are players that have been at the top of their game but never won anything. So there's a motivation to get paid for the rookies. There's a motivation to win something for sake of legacy for some of these free agent pickups. It is a highly motivated unit, especially on defense. So for different reasons. I think that's a huge part, the motivation. And I think also some of the coaching hires they've brought in, Kubiak on offense, coaches like John Benton, who's our new O-line coach, who's transformed that O-line. That throughout, you could honestly, I could name 10 to 15 things that I think have had a profound influence.
Yeah. And that's it. It just feels like it's just been, again, these last 2 years, such a positive swing that's kind of catalyst, I suppose. Things have started to move in the right direction, a catalyst of Mike McDonald. But that defense especially, and that's probably been the big focus outside of the kind of Sam Darnold redemption story, which we'll talk about, potentially reaching its climax, hopefully, I guess. But that defense just seems to have got better and better every week, especially down the stretch. And even in the Rams games where they've given up more points, they found the plays they've needed to when they've needed to. Tank Lawrence is a great example. I follow Dallas. I'm sure I've mentioned it when we talked about. I follow Dallas. The last couple of years at Dallas, his influence just turned off. His performance levels dipped. He is a new man in Seattle. He looks a bit slimmer as well, which is good. He looks a bit trimmer. It's back to his explosive best. Speak to that front seems to have just taken over games recently. How much does that front fill you with confidence going into a game against a young quarterback and an iffy offensive line maybe that the Patriots have got?
Yeah, I mean, we may not have always got home. We may not have had so many games where it's 5-6 sacks. Where we had a few. I mean, we ended up calling one of our pods Saxonville, I think, when we played the Jaguars. We had about 7 in a game. There have been games where the pressure has got home, but the pressure has always been there. And I think when you've got so many players that need those big double teams consistently all the way through a game, someone at some point gets in. And it's also then so stout against the run, and then you force the ball into the air and get the quarterback holding onto the ball. And then, of course, the sticky coverage and the too high safety looks, always rushing for, blitzing the least in the league and creating so much pressure allows extra bodies to pick up and cover and fit the runs and everything. We seem to just have bodies available to cover whatever's thrown at us and still get that pressure rushing before. And that's a great scenario for any defensive coordinator, knowing you can rely upon the pressure and get everything covered. That will win you games.
Yeah, and let's speak about the defensive coordinator. Of course, with the head coach being a defensive head coach, Mike McDonald maybe goes under the radar as a coordinator that doesn't necessarily call plays. Our very own Aidan Durden is as the defensive coordinator. I don't know how much longer you're going to keep him, because at some point it feels like he's going to get a head coaching gig. How big an influence has he had? Because it feels like that front, because he's had success in Dallas and he's obviously been around and worked his way up. He just feels like he's had such a big influence on this defense, and especially kind of those 4 at the front. What sort of impact has Aidan had on this defense?
It's hard to say, really, because it's hard to gauge how much influence he has on Mike McDonald's system. But what I will say is that every coach that handles any area of that defense is massively in tune with what Mike McDonald does and the way he wants to run that defense. You look at the development with the defensive backs, with the amount of pressure we're getting, with the defensive line. Everything looks really good. And Dirty actually was super influential in Dallas with their defensive line. So it doesn't surprise me that is one of the areas that shines the most under his leadership. What I will say about Dirty, you mentioned maybe we'll struggle to hold on to him. I'm actually quite confident that no one in the NFL is ready to take that leap and risk hiring a British not defensive coordinator, head coach. That, I think, is early. And I don't mean to say he doesn't deserve it. I think he's got every level he's progressed. He's looked right at home and had a really big influence on that team. So why not the next level with a head coach job? Well, this is an enormous industry with huge amounts of money paid to head coaches and a lot of GMs that end up with egg on their face. I don't know that anyone's quite ready to hedge that bet.
It's interesting. Yeah, absolutely, I agree, and I think he's coming sooner or later. I think he's gonna get a shot in the next couple of years. He's been in the interviews. I think this cycle, hasn't it? I was sneakily hoping, and again, we're here to talk about this. I was sneakily hoping we might get him back because we had an opening at defensive coordinator, and sneakily hoping, obviously, the link and the time he spent in Dallas, but it obviously wasn't to be. But yeah, really excited for him. It'd be great, obviously, if we can get a coordinator, a British coordinator with a ring. That would be sensational. Let's flip onto the other side of the ball, because I think we know that the offensive coordinator is 99%. I'd probably say 100% likely to go. It's just not been announced at this point. Kubiak is going to be off to the Raiders by the sounds of it, if you believe what the NFL insiders tell us. Obviously, he came across from the Saints. Again, just speak to kind of what difference has he made offensively, as again with the head coach being a defensive coach. What impact has Kubiak had offensively to turn this? It just feels explosive every game.
Yeah, I think every game you feel like, especially with Sam Darnold and how effective he's been with the deep ball, he's had the highest percentage of catchable deep balls in the league this year. So when he does need to or when he thinks that's the best option and he takes it on, he gives wide receivers a shot every time with it. There's not many that have sailed, over the top. So he's got that. He's got a quarterback that's capable of doing what he's setting up. So that goes in his favor. I think Ken Walker in a contract year, after a number of years of his rookie deal where he was banged up with injury, running backs don't get paid in this league, and it's worse than ever for running backs getting second contracts. He had an awful lot to prove this year, and it harks back to what I said earlier about a lot of key players on this team playing for contracts. So Ken's a big part of that. So he had a running back come great at the right time. Zach Charbonnet's a sore miss because he's also been that huge red zone weapon that we now don't have. But then Ken has deputized brilliantly at doing that. Look no further than 3 touchdowns against the Niners. So, yeah, with that, I mean to say that QBX system has worked, right? The offensive line that was put together not by John Benton, but coached by John Benton, has been able to really embrace what that scheme needs. And then the weapons are there, and Sam Darnold's been the best he's ever been. So those things, the weapons, the scheme, the coaching, have all meant that QBX has come in like a duck to water.
Yeah, you mentioned kind of Sam Darnold's been the best he's ever been. He arguably had the best game he's ever had in the biggest spot he's ever been in, which was the NFC Championship game against the Rams last week. It still felt, and we kind of discussed it a lot around, he's had a great season, but whenever we've seen him in these bright lights before, he's kind of crumbled a little bit. And until he does it, there's always that worry. How relieved are you that Sam kind of got that off his back last week with that huge performance in the NFC Championship game?
Yeah, there's a bit of that Kirk Cousins Monday night football, or not Monday night football, but like prime time under the light kind of like thing. I think it's a little unfair. I think any quarterback that's not been to many games like that, I mean, he didn't do it with the Jets. And then, of course, got his opportunity with the Vikings, which was his first sort of taste of it. Obviously, a backup in Carolina and
San Fran as well,
yeah. So that was his first taste of it. And all you can really ever ask for when something like that happens is to turn up ready to just be better, learn from it. And, of course, he had his bye week 1 of the playoffs. Really showed up in a big way against the Niners, and then showed up against the Rams. And you'd understand a few jitters because the Rams have been that team that have put him under serious pressure and got the worst out of him. Well, guess what? The Rams got the best out of him in that game, and perhaps the lessons they taught him over the previous meetings actually did him a favour.
Yeah, I thought he looked, because he was actually under a lot of pressure. Like the Rams were getting kind of putting him up. I just thought that he was just so cool, so calm, collected, dealt with it. And it was I think probably the bits that there was a lot of throws that were very impressive and a lot of plays that were, but the ones that did impress me, having obviously seen how maybe he struggled with the Rams earlier in the season and also especially last season in the playoffs for the Vikings, he just took, when there was a risk of a negative play, he just threw it away. Or he moved out of the pocket, threw it away. He just didn't have those back-breaking negative plays that kill drives and, really put you under the pump. And I thought that just showed his evolution, his development, which only simple things, but, we'd seen during these playoffs, CJ Stroud might be a great example. Brain-dead plays that kill you as a team when you're under pressure instead of just, don't make a bad play worse sort of thing. And Sam was doing that, and I thought that was impressive. Just a little thing, but yeah, I think it's undeniable. He's had a fantastic season. I think that has to go now in terms of the can't do it in the big game. Well, he's done it in the biggest games that he's had to play. He's got another one. Let's talk about the game in a bit more detail. Super Bowl 60, Patriots, Seahawks. Can Super Sam complete the dream run with Super Bowl? How will the Seahawks handle favourites tag as a team people only really started to believe in late in the season? Let's touch on that a second as well. And will the Disney movie get its happy ending We all want to see it. I think we all want to see Sam Darnold lifting the Lombardi. That point is, it kind of felt, even though the Seahawks had a great record through the season, I think it was only that week's, I think it was the week 16 Thursday night football game against the Rams, or week 15 or week 16, whichever week it was, the crazy finish and the crazy 2-point play. Felt that was the moment people actually started taking the Seahawks seriously. Did you feel that, kind of, obviously, as somebody who's obviously in tune with Seahawks media, but also the outside media looking in at the Seahawks? Did you feel that way, or did you feel that maybe people had been taking them seriously beforehand?
I don't think anyone who saw that 2-point conversion where Zach Charbonnet was a perfect gentleman and picked up the ball for the ref after a play that he thought had ended our game and potentially the number 1 seed. He literally was just a gentleman and picked up the ball, gave it to the ref, and was awarded the 2 points. If you watched that and didn't think this was Seattle's year at that point, I don't know what moment was going to do it for you.
No, and it was again, there was a lot that had to happen, but that shows, I think there's the pieces around, actually, and you made that point earlier on. At every level, the Seahawks have game changers, and that includes the special teams as well. What Rashid Shaheed has done. He's got a punt return touchdown, a kick return touchdown. Again, in massive games, both against the Rams. Yeah, is that right? The opening kickoff, it was, wasn't it? Or was that the Niners game? I get my games. Yeah,
let it be known, we scored more points in the first play of the game in the first 13 seconds than the Niners scored in the next 4 quarters of football. So we got it, essentially, we got the game won on the very first play. Sam Darnold had not touched the ball, and that game had been won.
Brilliant. Joe, our resident 49ers fan, will love that. But yeah, that's part of it. Every level of the game, every level of the game, special teams, defense, offense, they are prime. They've got great players and the opportunity to make difference-making games. We kind of see sometimes in these Super Bowls that it is somebody who's maybe unsung, or we've not seen a lot of, or that we've not heard a lot of, that can make key plays and key differences. Funnily enough, that kind of happened the last time these two teams met in the Super Bowl, when it was the receivers who, I cannot remember his name because it would kill me, but the guy who was working at Foot Locker during the season, the Seahawks picked him up, and then he had the huge game in the Super Bowl. Malcolm Butler, maybe don't want to hear that name, but again, unheralded, makes a huge play. Who's somebody we can look at for the Seahawks, Mitch, who's maybe not one of the big names, hasn't had a big season, that might be a huge difference maker here and make. Have you got me? Just cut out a second, and I'll do that bit again.
You did. But I know you. No. I know you. I know your question. You want an undersung hero that people can look out for. I've got 3 names, and one is a favorite of mine, for clear reasons to anyone in our community. But three names: Robbie Oots, fullback. Our running game has been unbelievable when he's been there playing skittles with linebackers, frankly. So Robbie Oots will be an unsung hero on the night. If our running game clicks, it will be because he is carving out tunnels for running backs. So Robbie Oots, Jake Bobo, who caught his touchdown in the previous game with his second reception. Going back a few seasons, Jake Bobo became a real chain mover on third downs. He's got that tight end build at the wide receiver position. But the way he sold the defender with his movements in prior to receiving that catch was unbelievably polished for a guy that is usually blocking on routes. He could be coming up clutch, and we know he can do it. He's got brilliant hands, and because he lacks the physical, not the physical acumen, but the athletic acumen that some of the wide receivers in the league have, he's had to become very polished with fundamentals. And when you're in the red zone, or when you're needing a clutch third down play, he could be clutch. But the big name for everyone to look out for is AJ Barner. AJ Barner, still relatively unknown, but whether it's taking the snap for the barnyard in short yardage situations, or whether it's blocking for 90% of the game and then just running a wheel route and taking in a catch with over his shoulder, like he's been doing it for years. AJ Barner could well be a difference maker in this game.
I'm glad somebody else has got their name for their kind of sneak tush push style play. So yeah, which is great. The Barnyard is a fantastic. Well, yeah, we've also, we're all big fans of AJ Barner. He's had a great season, and yeah, I feel he could be. It feels like it's a good matchup, Barner against the Patriots linebackers. Like the Patriots linebackers are a lot of downhill, good against the run, but not so good sideline to sideline. And in coverage,
Robert Spillane's great example. Tackle machine, absolutely excellent at what he does. A bit like Bobby Wagner was for the Seahawks for many years. But some matchups in coverage, you will get him beat. And that would be something we pick on.
Could be one. I think we're on a lot of the AJ Barner over props. We think he could have a big day. Where are these? So that could be one. Where are the other kind of matchups you're looking for here for where you think actually the Seahawks can take advantage and the Seahawks can really, really make a difference here and get one over the Patriots? Where else do you think is the key advantages for Seattle?
I think the quality we have at safety. I know they the Patriots also have a really good safety room. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm saying our safeties beat their safeties. It's quite an even room and potentially shaded by the Patriots safety room there. But I think the matchup is so good. If we get constant pressure and get Drake May to need to throw some balls in their vicinity, they are so good at making plays. And our DBs are so well drilled now with the way they hand off coverage and adapt, and there's real leaders in there. Julian Love is fresh. He's been out for half the season. He's looking like he's playing really well now. Kobe Bryant's got a penchant for peanut punches and big turnovers. And of course, Nicky Manwari has been arguably Rookie of the Year. And has the athleticism to take it to the house in a blink if you put it in his vicinity. So I think if the pressure's there and we force the ball to stay in hand with Drake May and contain, there may be some ill-advised throws in there that the safeties can really kill this game with.
Yeah, I think we saw him when under pressure, the Chargers to an extent, Chargers and Texans in the early rounds of the playoffs when they kind of got Drake May under pressure, got to him, they were able to force the ball out and had him dropping the ball on the floor and those pieces. So yeah, really to see that. And Nick Manwari can count himself extremely unlucky if he doesn't win Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think. He's been absolutely fantastic. Yeah, and another favourite Byron's in particular on our show. Yeah, he's been tremendous. A great find. And they had a great draft. Gray Zabel, we haven't even talked about as well. Also, incredible pick in the first round. Where on the flip side, then, what about the Patriots worries you? And no matter how supremely confident you may be of the Seahawks win, but what is it that the Patriots do, or what strength of theirs worries you the most?
It's probably how well Drake May's done when he's had to put the team on his back and find ways to get over the line. I think he's looked a little scruffy in terms of what he's had to do, but I don't think he's looked scruffy with his actual ability. It's more what he's had to resort to get them over the line. I think because whilst I think we'll put him in situations where it gets a little desperate at times, he seems to just come out shining more often than not. And that element of it, we've seen that with Russell Wilson for us, sometimes just that magic that he can just pull out from nowhere. That I think it gives them in the worst game they could play, they've got a glimmer with him. I genuinely think he's a brilliant quarterback.
Yeah, feels like his legs are a big danger, and the Broncos kind of felt that, and that was obviously a bit of a wild game because of kind of the weather conditions. But he ran 7 times, 6 of them were for first downs, including a touchdown. That when they did kind of get close, he slipped out and was able to make them. He's athletic enough to make plays with his legs. Cool. Let's put you on the spot, Mitch. Give us a score prediction for Super Bowl 60.
28-17.
28-17. A relatively comfortable win, 11-point win. I like it. Look, I think, maybe Joe's not as a 49ers fan on our show, but I think the rest of us are rooting for Sam Darnold and, the Seahawks. There's a lot to like about it. We're huge fans of Rashid Shaheed here as well, so there's a lot to like about the Seahawks. And we just don't need to see the Patriots win another one so soon. Like, they've not been away for long enough yet.
Could not agree more. And I will say this before we go. I just want to point out to anyone who hasn't yet decided where they land on who they're supporting come Sunday night. Picture winning a Super Bowl in your biggest rival's backyard, right? Imagine that. Well, that's what we're going to do, right? That's what we're going to do. Imagine having to go through your two biggest divisional rivals to get to a Super Bowl. That's what we've done. And imagine a redemption arc like this playing the Patriots to bring it home. So we get to the redemption arc with the Patriots. We get to do it in our biggest rival's backyard, and we've silenced all the doubters with who we've had to play in the playoffs as well, and the last 2 weeks of the season. It is perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a run, a hell of a run to kind of get to this point. It's an exciting game. Can't wait for it. It can't come soon enough, and I'm sure for you, hopefully that means you will have finished moving and you're partying in Birmingham on Sunday night. Mitch, give us one last shout out for where we can find all things 12 Talk.
Yeah, so at 12 Talk Pod, you'll find us on everything. Insta, you'll find us on Spotify, you'll find us on YouTube, you'll find us in our Discord, all of this in our link tree. So come and find us on X as well. We are super active. Our community is even more active. We've got some fantastic people in there, lots of other content creators that we collaborate with in there. So at any given time, you could be having a chat about something, and one of your heroes who you listen to on the way to work could chime in and have a little chat with you. So come and find us in Discord as well, and subscribe on YouTube to the 12 Talk Pod.
Excellent. Make sure you go supporting Mitch and Josh and get involved in the 12 Talk community. And if you're in and around Birmingham, or you can make it, and so supporting the Seahawks, get yourself down for a few pints, a party potentially, and a great game on Sunday. Mitch, best of luck. We sincerely mean it.
Thank you.
Hope you have a great time and have and be lifting that Lombardi. We'll see you come Sunday. We're going to finish off the rest of the show. We're going to share our Super Bowl best bets. We've got our Super Bowl picks competition that we do as well. And we'll round up the rest of everything ahead of Super Bowl 60. Thanks to Mitch there from the 12 Talk podcast. Great to have him back on the show for a third appearance this season. And if we didn't promote it enough already, if you're in and around the West Midlands area, get yourself down to O'Neill's, Birmingham, Broad Street for the UK Seahawkers 12 Talk watch party for Super Bowl 60. And sounds like it's going to be a good one. Byron, Joe, back. We've been out for an hour or so there. Well, I say we. Whole goddamn thing. Talking to Skye and Mitch there. I have two very different faces in that to just sort of show how different the dates of recording were. I managed a trip to the barbers in between. Let's talk about the game. Let's get your takes on it. We've heard Skye's. We've heard Mitch's. Let's go to Super Bowl 60. Will the Super Bowl 49 rematch deliver a classic battle by the Bay? 11 years later, the signs another dynasty is rising. Can Seattle extinguish it before it even gets started and bury the memories of Malcolm Butler at the one? How do we think this is going to go? Patriots 4.5-point dogs. Over under is 45.5. Last time I'm going to get to say the line like that this year. How are you seeing this matchup?
I see it as I'm very confident in Seattle. It's going to be my starting end from takeaway here. I think they've been excellent all season and through the playoffs. I think you could easily make, not so much the argument, the fact that they've not had quite of a rough ride against opposing defenses as New England have throughout the playoffs. But I don't think New England have excelled through the playoffs. I think they've kind of got by through the playoffs. CJ Stroud was awful and, still wasn't a total blowout. They could have easily lost that game to the Broncos 2 weeks ago. Whereas I think the Seahawks have kind of looked better and better as the year's gone along. They are the 6th best all-time DVOA team, including the playoffs. I just think it's there for them to go out and keep dominating. Their defense has been absolutely incredible. I seen him in a Kimes tweet earlier this week on Blue Sky, when the Seahawks are in nickel and dime coverages, their ability to defend the run is exceptional. And I think that's what their key is going to be in this game here. They allow 4 yards per carry, which is the best in the league, 64% success rate, best in the league, 18.7 first downs per carry, best in the league, minus 0.7 EPA per play, best in the league in nickel and dime defenses. And since their week 8 bye, they've played Matthew Stafford 3 times, who's got 8 touchdowns against them. Jacoby Brissett's got 2 touchdowns in that. The Cardinals throw all day on them. Philip Rivers has a touchdown through the air. And Cam Ward has 1, and that's your lot of touchdowns through the air against the Seahawks since week 8. The defense is not messing around. I think they're in the mode where they can absolutely dominate, and I think Clint Kubiak kind of can get in his bag a little here. Again, you'd love Zach Charbonnet to be there to give that mix and match with Kenneth Walker. I think this is going to be more of a Sam Darnold JSN, and I'm always going to back Rashid Shaheed to have a big play, at least one. With how well he can be used. Clint Kubiak, I don't think there's anybody who knows him better after his time in New Orleans and now with Seattle as well. I think if the Patriots are going to win this game, Josh McDaniels is going to have to get he's going to have to get a bit funky, I think. Going to have to do something to cook Drake May up. Drake May has been, as good as anybody in the league this year. So I don't think it's a case of can't. I just think it's a case of it's going to be too much to actually do. I think he's more than capable of putting in a Super Bowl winning performance. And against a lot of other defenses, I'd really fancy his chances, but I think the Seahawks just getting perfect at the right time.
Excellent. Joe, so you're very familiar with the Seahawks. You see them twice a year or 3 times this year. 3rd time was not the charm for you. But, yeah, how you see this matchup going, the Patriots, Seahawks? Where are the keys here in this one?
Yeah, I'm similar to Byron. I'm bleeding the Seahawks as well. I think they've just got the dominant side of the ball. All the 4. That defense, I think they could do a lot of damage. There's obviously a worry that Drake May is still on the injury report with his shoulder. He should be playing, should be fine, but obviously you don't want that before the Super Bowl. Obviously Sam Darnold came into the 49ers game with the injury, but he said that he feels really good, which he's not going to say anything different, but he seems like he's had a lot more time, and just this Drake May one seems like popped out of nowhere, this shoulder injury, and he didn't practice the other day. I assume he's going to play along with most of the players who are questionable. So, but yeah, I see that. I think with the Seahawks, it's about the Seahawks offense. I think if they can start putting points on, I think that's where the game can sort of get run away. If the Patriots are chasing, if they're having to drop back, Drake May dropping back. We saw what happened against Denver. Obviously, it's not the same kind of weather conditions and the same scenario, but they've basically got nothing going. They only won because of turnovers, because of that defense. So it's really on the Patriots defense to do what they've been doing all the way through this playoff run. Because coming into it, they weren't one of the best defenses, and we can say about the opposition offense has not been great, and they haven't played anyone somewhat outstanding. But they've only conceded 26 points in the last 3 games. Seahawks conceded 27 against the Rams. I know it's against the Rams, and it's going to be different. But that Patriots defense, I think, has carried them, has made what they've done to opposition defenses is put May in a position where he's not. I don't think he's playing that good in this playoff run, and I don't think the offense is playing great. But they're being able to keep the leads and just getting the points and leaning on the defense. And can they do that against the Seahawks offense, which Sam Darnold proved a lot of people wrong against the Rams 2 weeks ago with such a strong performance. And they didn't hide him. I think that was the biggest thing. They didn't just say, okay, we're going to lean on the defense and we're just going to keep running and just, odd play action. When they needed big points, when the Rams get hitting back, they just said, okay, Sam, you do you. And he was huge. I think he's starting this. We'll go into the bet. I think JSN is obviously going to have a big game or good game because it's JSN and he's just outstanding. And we talked about what Tom Brady said, why he's so good and that gets so open. But I play he's going to go against Gonzalez. So I think it's the Cooper Kupp, Shaheed, even Bobo, and the tight ends are going to be huge. And I think that's where Sam Darnold is going to try and target them in terms of the yards, and maybe use a JSN, get Gonzalez out of the way because he's probably top 3, top 5 kind of quarterback. And when you're at the 2-yard line, just run it Mike McDonald in the last few seconds. Don't think you need Sam Darnold. I don't think Sam Darnold may not have the ego as Russell Wilson and at that stage of his career, but just lean on Kenneth Murray when you need to, and hit them tight ends. I think the tight ends.
Don't lean on Kenneth Murray. Dear God, we played enough.
Kenneth Walker. Yeah,
Kenneth Murray clips during the season. Jesus Christ.
Kenneth Walker. I do apologize.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I don't want to see any more of them. Kenneth Murray trying to stop the run plays. Fucking hell. Yeah, I think the Seahawks might just hammer like a real short yardage touchdown, rushing touchdown early, just to kind of get that out of the way. Good bet. And just on that note, shout out Marshawn Lynch as well. I don't know if you've seen them, the Game of Thrones skits he's been doing to promo the new Game of Thrones spin-off. Absolutely incredible. Go check them out on HBO's and Marshawn Lynch's X account. I need more Marshawn Lynch. He's fantastic. We need more of him on our screens in various different guises. Cool. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot here because we've not prepped this. Byron, make a case for the Patriots winning. I know you've not got them, but make a case for the Patriots winning. What has to happen for the Patriots to win?
Drake May can attack downfield. Against zone defenses, Drake May has been incredible this season. Third in adjusted yards per attempt per zone. First in completion rate over expected against zone. Third in quarterback passer rating versus zone. The Seahawks play the zone, the fifth highest rate in the NFL. So if you can do that, I think I mentioned this as soon as we played the conference review games. I think it might be kind of game where Carl Williams could be a threat. One of them bombs downfield. I think he's probably most likely. Maybe Keyshawn Booty as well, who's much more involved in the game. And then, I hate to say it, does the pressure get to Sam Darnold? Barmore and Milton Williams have been great in the interior rushing defensive tackles for the Patriots. If Christian Gonzalez can do some kind of job on JSN, slow him down, give those tackles a little time to work the magic against the Seahawks offensive line, I think that's a possible way to get at it. And I do think Josh McDaniels will be in his bag. I think that one of the ways they can win, Ramondre Stevenson has been great through the playoffs, but what you don't get from Ramondre, and you never will, is game-breaking plays. If you can get Travion Henderson out on the edge and you get him a running lane, he can go 70 yards for a touchdown. That's easily done.
I'm interested because they've just seemed to have completely gone away from Henderson, don't they?
Stevenson had 94
snaps and the carries, 94%. Yeah, go. You're about to say it. Sorry.
Stevenson had 94% of the snaps against the Denver Broncos, and I think that is a lot of that is the conditions of the game, though. But Stevenson has been great through the playoffs, so it makes total sense. But I think that's why. Again, I think if you just line up and play this game, Seattle win. I think New England need to get funky if they're going to win it, pending a breakdown from Seattle. So that's where I think maybe you do have Travion Henderson. Maybe you have a double backfield look. I think maybe you get more involved in the RPO game because Drake May, he has wheels. He can take off and run for 20, 30 yards at a pop, without much question. They haven't utilized it that much this season compared to last year, but it's certainly in play. So I think essentially Drake May playing like he's played all season, despite the defense he's going up against, is really the path to New England winning it. It's not unfathomable. It's 4.5 points. It's not 14.5,
Yeah, and I think just them keeping it close, if it's in the teens, like the late teens where the Seahawks haven't blow them out, then the Patriots got the chance because I think they're a smart football team and I think Vrabel's a smart coach in situation. So when to take points, when to go for 2 points and all that kind of stuff. I think he has that nuance about him to be able to, maybe out-coach Mike McDonald in that section of the game. So if they can keep it close, put pressure on Sam Darnold, they've been blitzing non-stop throughout this playoffs. Can they do that against Sam Darnold? And this offensive line's it's been a lot better this year. So can they protect Darnold? Can they give him time for that play action? And can the defense hold up where you're getting the Seahawks to punt plenty of times? Because they've had games like that. We saw against the 49ers, the second game, where they dominated that game, but only scored, 13, 16 points. It's not like an offense which is going to score plenty of points consistently and getting the 30s most games. So yeah, keep it tight and just take points and where you can and then put it to scrap is can Sam Darnold step up again at the biggest of all stages with 4 or 5 players rushing and pressuring him? I think that's going to be huge.
Cool. Joe, on the flip side, again, put you on the spot because I've not told you to prep this. Make the case. What has to happen for the Seattle Seahawks to clinch Super Bowl 60?
I think I said it before. Settle down quickly, get some points on the board, and put the pressure on Drake May to have to throw long. I think he's capable of doing that. No question with this shoulder injury. Like, does that affect any of that? Affect that? And I think what the Seahawks have, they can just rush for and still get pressure. So they don't have to send extra rushers and just try and on defense just do what they do. To be honest, like there's no the defense has to do some extraordinary. Just do what you normally do. Wreak havoc. Give Sam Darnold enough of the ball, and Sam Darnold just playing smart, taking shots when it's there, and just mixing it up. The run game might be big. I think the Patriots have been really good in the middle of the defense. So you do worry that are they going to just be able to stop Kenneth Walker, and then you just put in Darnold's hands, but just maybe some get QB to do some some trick plays. Get Shaheed doing some end arounds and trying to mix it up. And I always think if they get up by 10 points, then I think that the game's done, because I just don't see this Patriots offense being able to constantly just keep dropping back without rushing, because I think the Seahawks defense will gobble them up. We've seen them do against the best offenses in the league.
Excellent, cool. So I'll put you on the spot there, chap. Sorry for that, but just thought be good. And 2 great bits of analysis there. I thought fantastic. Well done. Show some Super Bowl stats. What I've plucked, prepping some.
It's got to be better than conference game stats right at this stage of the season.
Yeah, definitely. So, Patriots, obviously, underdogs. Something drastically like Sam Darnold's arm's going to have to drop off between now and Sunday for that to change. But yeah, Patriots 4.5-point underdogs. This is going to break a streak of 8 straight Super Bowls where the Patriots have been favourites. So the Patriots have been favourites in their last 8 Super Bowl appearances. The last time they were an underdog, anyone hazard? Can you remember which of their Super Bowl appearances that was the last time they were an underdog? If it was
first one against the Rams?
Yeah, it was against the Rams. There were 14-point underdogs against the Rams, the greatest show on turf. Won outright, 120-17. So that was the last time the Patriots were an underdog in a Super Bowl. On the theme of underdogs, Super Bowls in recent history have been all about the underdogs. Underdogs have covered 5 straight Super Bowls, including going 4-1 straight up in the last 5 Super Bowls, and have won the last 3 straight. Obviously, everyone seems to forget, obviously, the Eagles were underdogs last year, even though they walloped the Chiefs. But yeah, it's been underdog-heavy recent Super Bowls. Since 2007, underdogs are 11-7 straight up and 13-5 ATS in the Super Bowl. Since 2000, no, that's another stat. AFC stat as well. Let's go AFC versus NFC. AFC teams 8-3 ATS in the last 11 Super Bowls. So AFC teams have been covering. Interesting when all the action and it feels like all the money is on the Seattle Seahawks in this one. Where my numbers? I've got it up. I've just had a quick refresh of it because it is moving all the time. It's back. It's come back down a little bit, but with 68% of the bets and 66% of the money is on the Seahawks -4.5. That was as high as late 70s across bets and money earlier in the week. Earlier, I think it was yesterday. I'm so shocked that number hasn't moved because of the early money, and it did. It went from 3.5, as you pointed out, to 4.5. Just the volume of money and the number of bets that are on the Seahawks. I'm so surprised this hasn't moved. Whew. Any Super Bowl stats? Any number ones for us, Byron, for Super Bowl Sunday?
I thought it's Super Bowl. We're trying to focus on football. No, I didn't dig one out. Shame on me, but I didn't.
Outrageous. Joe, you got anything stats-wise for us before we move into our bets?
You can put them for analysis, but we can't invent stats for you, mate.
Wait, sorry, mate. That's your job.
I thought I did a good job. I thought some of them were great.
They were.
And you'd think with all that, given how underdog heavy I'd gone, that I've backed the Patriots +4.5. Not yet. I think I'm going to, but not yet. Joe, hit the bets for us.
Well, this is a preview, mate. If you're not going to make it pick now, when are you?
Well, you'll see on Instagram X, blah, 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 blah. Give me the over. Over 45.5. Give me the over. Everything says it should be a struggle for points defensively. How good that Seahawks defense has been. How good that Patriots defense. And you talked about how few points they'd given up during the playoffs. Well, what happens when you put two ends of a magnet, the same ends of the magnet together? They repel. Give me the over. Give me a points fest. Say points fest. Just give me 46 points. That's all I need. Over 45.5. No other stats are in sight. A lot of the money's on it though. 69% of the money, 75% of the bets is on over 45.5, including some of mine. Byron,
right?
Yeah, Byron, what do you like?
As always, my man. I'm not going to go away from in the Super Bowl. Rashid Shaheed, anytime touchdown, 7-2. I haven't shopped around for the price. You might be able to get 4-1 maybe. But yeah, threat on the returns, a threat as a wide receiver, can do it all. Rashid Shaheed, anytime touchdown, 7-2.
Excellent. Joe, your best bet?
Like Byron, I've stuck to my guns. I've stuck with the tight ends. I've got AJ Barner, 40+ receiving yards and anytime touchdowns at 25-4. So like just over 5-1. I think, like I mentioned, I think Jason's Gonzalez is gonna stick to him. So and looking at the previous games of the Patriots, the tight ends have been either first or second in receiving yards when they've been playing against them. So, and AJ Barner feels like he stepped up in this playoffs as the true number one tight end. So he's been hitting around, if he has had a decent game, like around 40, it's been his mark. He's had a few games where he's not got much, where I think they've targeted the wide receivers more. But I think this game, like I mentioned, it could be a tight end fest in terms of yards. So AJ Barner to get 40+ receiving yards and a TD 25.
I really like AJ Barner's kind of props and things just in general in this game. I think I just heard me talk about it with Mitch. I think just the matchup's a bad one for the Patriots with AJ Barner in particular, or just the tight ends as well. But I think obviously the Patriots linebackers really good coming downhill, not so good in coverage and not so good going side to side. So yeah, side to side and back the way. So yeah, I really, really like AJ Barner. I think he's had a really, really great year. He's not had huge numbers or anything. But yeah, it's been great. And I loved, again, you just heard Mitch talking about it, their version of the tush push, the barnyard, which is great. Great name for it. So yeah, hope to see a big game from AJ Barner. Excellent. Right, we're going to talk more betting, of course. We've got a couple of little fun games for the Super Bowl to finish off kind of our picks, competitions, etc. Threefold, Joe, is that where we're going next?
Yep.
Excellent. Threefold. Oh, what a lovely, lovely episode graphic you've done there, Joe. Super Bowl LX. Is the substation in this picture at all? You've got the Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz. Is the substation there?
Oh, I didn't make it, so who knows?
Yeah, okay. Right, threefold. Joe, do you want to explain what we're actually doing?
Yes, it's like a usual competition, but we're only doing 3 this time. So we're doing 1, the standard, so either favorite, underdog, over, under points. We're doing anytime touchdown pick, and then any over, under prop bet for any players across the board. And it's, I'm going first, then Byron, then Paul. So
cool. Go on then, Joe. Do you want to go first?
So I'm just going to take I'll stand because I like the over unders. I'm going to go Seahawks -4.5 at Patriots. Get that one in before someone else takes that. Because I think it's going to be. I know Byron would probably, that'll be one of Byron's ones. So.
He would have taken it next, definitely. Yep. Cool. Byron, what are you taking?
In that case, give me Jackson Smith and Jigba touchdown, please. Because I wanted the Seahawks -4.5.
Fair. Cool. So the odds of this is going to be wildly different. It's not our standard, obviously, because we're throwing an anytime touchdown score in there. That will be obviously a multiplier. I'm going to take a prop first, if that's all right. So, child disagreeing there, is that what?
I'm just laughing at you saying, is that all right? Yes, that's absolutely fine. That was Charlie getting out of his bed for the first time since he went out this morning. So, sorry, and he's relocated to a blanket. It's been a tough day, Charlie, right?
It's been a tough day. Excellent. Well, we'll get a Charlie Super Bowl pick as well, of course, won't we, Byron?
Oh, absolutely.
That's why he's so tired. He's really mulling over who to pick for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's just gone back in his snuggle sack as well. So he had 30 seconds out and he thought, nah, I'm fine. I'll go back in.
It's not got the answer yet. Go, give me Drake May over 6.5 rushing attempts. He's going to be on the move a bit. Obviously, conditions kind of were a big factor. But even earlier in the game against the Broncos, where he was under pressure, he managed to obviously sneak out and make big plays with his legs as well. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that as much against the Seahawks, but I think he ended up running for, obviously, you get your kneel downs as well. If so be it, you might get 3 freebies at the end. But 6.5 rushing attempts. He had 7 key rushes. 6 went for first downs. And he had touchdown. They could be a big weapon for the Patriots in this game. And do the Seahawks have someone to account for him? Is there a spy element? Certain third downs and things like that. Interesting chess piece, but I like that. And give me anytime touchdown scorer. Give me somebody who's been Super Bowl MVP before. Give me Cooper Kupp, anytime touchdown scorer. I like Cooper Kupp. We'll talk to it later. I like Cooper Kupp as a sneaky MVP candidate. Tough, because if he has a good game, then probably Sam Darnold does, and they win, and Sam Darnold likely get it. But I like Cooper Kupp. He's done it before.
You can get 100 to 1 on Cooper Kupp MVP, so
I really like it.
It's worth a couple of quid, isn't
it? Byron?
Please, can I have Kenneth Walker over 2.5 receptions? He's hit it in his last 3 games. I don't see why they would go away from it anytime soon. So 2.5 receptions for Kenneth Walker over, please.
I thought they'd, when Charbonnet went down the other week, I thought they would struggle not having the 2. He has stepped up to another level, Kenneth Walker, the past few weeks, I think.
Yeah, and I think he might score a touchdown as well. I can see that being someone's popular bet here.
Jeff, by you, Charlie. Well, yeah, so I've got Kenneth Walker, anytime touchdown scorer. I think, like Paul, I think they're going to try and settle the nerves if they're like on the 2-yard line, just to rub it into like Pete Carroll and whatnot. It's Kenneth Walker going in, and they might do a celebration. I wonder if they do a Marshall Lynch celebration, all that kind of just a shout out. And then finally, my prop, I'm going to go a little bit, bit wayward. It's a bit, it's crazy. It could be extreme. I'm going to go Jake Bobo over 0.5 receiving yards. So that is his over and under right now.
What is his yards? Is half a yard?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, he barely gets a catch, so that's why it's...
interesting. Jake Bobo over. And that's nearly 2 to 1. It's not even the standard 10 to 11. So, Joe, your fourfold is 23 to 4. So that's Seahawks minus 4.5, Kenneth Walker touchdown, and Bobo over half a receiving yard. At those odds, I'm going to take Bobo. I'm going to take that prop at 17 to 10.
Also get Bobo 10 to 1 anytime touchdown. Normally when he catches it, he's in the end zone. So certainly worth a play.
Byron.
I'm going to take the under on points. Sorry, I don't have the actual number up in front of me. What is it? 45.5 under, please. Yeah, 2 really good defenses. I think Seahawks win comfortably, but I think 45.5 is a lot considering.
Okay, well, either way, I'm going against one of yours with my final pick, aren't I? So I have to take the Patriots or the over. I've got the over on my standalone, but anyway, give me the Patriots plus the 4.5. Vrabel's keeping this close. Then that's the edge, where the Patriots have the edge. Bear in mind, Mike McDonald, great coach. Stanley Praise.
Let's get ready to rumble!
I don't play sound effects during your analysis. What's going on?
It's the last time this year to do it. So
fair enough. Yeah, I think that's the one edge that the Patriots have. I think I talked a little bit about Cooper Kupp being there and done that, but kind of really have that many other places the Seahawks. Obviously, Vrabel as a player, and then McDaniels, obviously, has been there, know what Super Bowl week's all about, how to prep for the games, etc. It is different no matter how much they say, oh, we're trying to make it like a normal game. It's not. And they, that kind of been there, done that, I think does count for something. I think there will never be a Mike Vrabel team that isn't prepared for any situation in any game. So I just think they will do. I don't know if they're going to win, but I think they will do enough to keep this very close. I think it's probably a field goal game. Yeah, I'm talking myself into betting the Patriots plus the 4.5. I just feel like I've been robbed of a couple of points because the way the money's gone. I feel like maybe the Patriots should be like 6.5, 7 because of how the betting's gone so far. And the bookies have just not moved the line. Cool. Byron, I didn't add total yours up. I'll quickly do it now. If you two want to share any other points so we don't have any dead air.
Mike Vrabel also winning press conference answer of the week. Touched on this offline, but was asked about his old quote of cutting off an appendage of a male variety if he was to win the Super Bowl, and he was asked if he still stands by that, and he answered, cut off half and leave his wife 6 inches. So that would be funny if one of us said it as way lads. For one of the NFL coaches to say that, I think is absolutely hilarious. So sorry, not maybe what you were looking for in terms of insight or analysis, but I think it
was great.
Wow. I think it was absolutely hilarious to come out with a quip like that in a big moment.
I think it was with Taylor Lewan.
Taylor Lewan, right? Yeah, Will Compton. Yeah, that's the other guy. Yeah,
that's where he'd originally given the quote about cutting his dick off.
Well, I was going with appendage, but sure, we can be family friendly. And while you're tallying those 2 trebles up as well, I'll ask as well, do you, for Charlie's pick, are we doing spread or are we just doing straight up because it's Super Bowl?
I think spread, right? It's what we always make Charlie do.
Cool. I mean, for Bears Packers, I had him pick straight up because it was like a topsy-turvy spread. It kept moving.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, we'll go 4.5 pending any movement. Okay, cool. I just wanted to check in on that, and there's a little bit of how the sausage gets made.
35-4, so just shot a 9-1 yours, Byron.
Gosh, nice.
And mine's 25-2, so 12.5-1. It's the Cooper Kupp, I think. Obviously, that's bumping that up. Mm-hmm. Touchdown scorer, which you can get at, is 11-4. Anytime touchdown scorer, Cooper Kupp, which I like. I think he could be in for a big day if they do home in on JSN. Right, that's our threefold. Shall we go to our fun picks bit, and then we'll talk about kind of some of the other kind of Super Bowl props. Oh, what a lovely graphic you've got for us there, Joe. Great job. Recycled, I think, last year's one. So, there is, how many is there? I can't count, 12, 11 different categories.
There should be 10, right?
10.
There's 11 plus 1 tiebreaker, so 12 altogether.
12, 11 plus 1 tiebreaker. And we'll talk through some of the bets and odds as we go here. But the ones we've covered already. So I've taken the Patriots ATS, Byron and Joe, the Seattle Seahawks. Me and Joe have gone over 44.5. Byron's on the under. MVP, both of you two have gone for Sam Darnold. So that fits in. The Seahawks winning.
Yeah, I think it would have to be like a crazy game for Sam Darnold not to win it. I know you mentioned like Cooper Kupp, but if Cooper Kupp goes off, then it feels like Sam Darnold's going to get it. So yeah, that's why I've gone for the obvious one. You've gone for an outside one, a crazy one.
Yeah, I did.
Feels like you don't want to win this competition, Paul.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to have a bit of fun with it. So yeah, we mentioned Cooper Kupp was 100-1. Big Leonard Williams also 100-1. I've gone for last time the Seahawks won the Super Bowl against the Broncos. Which one was that? Was that 48? It was, wasn't it?
Terrible with the numbers of them.
It was 48. Anyone remember who was Super Bowl MVP?
Malcolm Smith,
absolutely. I think he got the safety, right?
Yes.
He picked out the game. I think we could see I think there's a chance the Seahawks Seahawks win. Defensive score could be kind of a key thing. Give me somebody who's the deciding factor. Leonard Williams had a particularly bad stat sheet the other week, where he registered one tackle or half a tackle or something. But he was huge. Come on, it feels like you're going to chip in there.
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, you were breaking up a little bit, but yeah, Malcolm Smith also, when he was being interviewed, press conference after the game, do you remember how he was interrupted?
I don't know.
Well, I'm really interested to see if someone interrupts Leonard Williams in the same way this year. They interrupted to say 9/11 was an inside job by the US government. Investigate it. So I wonder what it could be this year. Maybe Epstein could be getting a shout out in the post-game speeches somehow.
Avram Grant, Jesus Christ, no, not Avram.
I don't think Avram's going to get a mention, no.
Avram Glazer went to Epstein Island. Anyway, that's more Buccaneers related, I guess. But yeah, I've gone just for an odd one. It'd be nice to see just somebody like win it, somebody different win it. Yeah. He's been such a huge factor, obviously, and he plays like that don't get those awards and don't get the recognition like that. But I think he could just make a huge game-changing play or deciding play. And if it's a tight game as well, and maybe if there isn't lots of points and offense, which goes against everything I've already picked, then maybe somebody like that gets it. It'd be pretty cool.
I do want to see the world where the Patriots win with an over and Leonard Williams win MVP.
I mean, I've got the Patriots just to cover, not necessarily having them to win.
Sorry, my apologies. Yeah,
4.5. They can cover and lose.
Leonard Williams gets a hat trick.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. First touchdown scorer. We've touched yours already. So Joey Kenneth Walker, you've talked about it. Jason Byron, you've gone for first touchdown scorer. You had him anytime touchdown scorer. I've gone for Cooper Kupp as well. Same one. So I've gone all Seahawks. Under 5.5 touchdowns. Again, all my picks just contradict each other. Under 5.5 touchdowns, but I've got it hitting the over. So you both seeing it as a real low-scoring game?
Well, I've got the over too. I'm just thinking 5 touchdowns, 35 points, or 36 because someone goes for a 2-pointer, and then 4 field goals hits the over.
Cool, excellent. Right, I like it. Yeah, over under 3.5 field goals. Me and Joe gone over. Byron under 2-point attempt success. So something funky. Has it got to be something funky got happened to get the 2-pointers going, a missed kick or missed extra point?
Yeah, maybe. I think it's just it's a much more aggressive game nowadays. I don't think 2-pointers are as wild as they used to be. Even just getting a penalty and getting it on the 1 yard rather than the 2-yard line.
So yeah,
I think it's really in play.
Yeah, high scoring quarter. We've all gone for different ones. I've gone for the 4th, Byron the 3rd, Joe the 2nd. Now we're getting into the key ones. The coin toss. Tails never fails, guys.
Never.
Always choose every year.
I've not got the stats for what it's been recently. I didn't prep them, which I should have done. Anthem. Usually because we record on a Thursday, we've had the rehearsal and we know, but we're recording a day early, so we don't. What do we know about the anthem singer?
I don't even know who it is.
I was
it's Charlie.
It's Charlie. Well, he's not mentioned it.
Well, no.
No wonder he's snoozing.
It's Charlie Puth or Puth.
Oh, Charlie Puth, yeah. Who Taylor Swift thinks should be a bigger artist. Are we getting a Charlie Puth breakdown?
Yeah, he is. I don't know what he like. He's an American singer-songwriter, piano player. So the only bit of detail I've got on Charlie Puth. The line is 100, so it's 2 minutes basically, 119.5 seconds, 1 minute 59.5. 4 years ago on YouTube, Charlie Puth uploaded a video of him playing the national anthem, not singing it, playing it on his piano. That lasted 1 minute, 1 second. Indicates he might get through it quite quickly. Naturally, it's going to take longer because he's singing it. But that's all I've got.
And it's at the Super Bowl, not in his bedroom.
It's at the Super Bowl, not in his home recording studio or wherever he recorded that video. Yeah. So that's all I've got on it. That's the only insight I've got this time.
Well, you're crushing me on insight because, like I said, I didn't know who was singing it until you just told me. So
yeah, there we go. So I've gone under. We've all gone under. Opening kickoff touchback. Obviously, the rules. I guess rules have changed, haven't they? So. But Joe, you still think there will be one? You think someone's going to boom it out the back of the end zone?
So I'm hoping the Patriots win the toss they said they'll kick it because the last game they kicked it out for touchback. And if it's against Shaheed, they're going to think, let's not do something stupid. Let's just smash it out of the end zone. So I'm hoping, the Patriots win the toss, decide to defer to start off with and smash it out of the end zone.
Don't want a Devin Hester situation on you, do you?
No.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And then tiebreaker, Gatorade colour. I've gone blue, Byron green, yellow. Joe, you've gone orange. Any method to the Gatorade madness?
I just looked at what you two put and for the other one. Basically.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to use red because it looks like blood in colour, not in terms of like texture. I think green yellow won last year, so that was my entire thought process.
Cool. Right. Anything more than that on it? No? I'm trying to find it.
I have as much on Gatorade as I have on Charlie Puth, so.
Cool. Puth, I don't know.
It's still Charlie Puth.
Blue is 5-2, green yellow is 13-5, and orange is 12-5 favourite.
Ooh.
There you go. Right. This is your opportunity, guys. Any other props, any other bets that you'd like or have looked at and that may appear on your sheets when we load them up on Sunday?
I'm going to get nuts again on there is a weekly leaders bet. So I'm obviously going Rashid Shaheed, who I think is 50-1 to lead the game in receiving, which is just silly to me. And I'm going to have a wild punt as well on Trevion Henderson because I don't think he's going to get much involvement, but he also shouldn't be 20-1 to lead the game in rushing. Like, if Ramondre fumbles, which he's prone to do, or he just breaks one big one, like that shouldn't be a 20-1 bet in my opinion. So, I'm going to have those two as my long shot bets. But yeah, nothing wacky yet. I haven't done any research into. Well, actually, I listened to a Bad Bunny album last week. That was my research, and you know what? Very good. I'm very impressed. I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know what the words were, but it's very boppable. And do you know he also very boppable? Do you know he performed at the Super Bowl before?
No, wait,
alongside Shakira.
Ah, okay.
He was present during that performance. I didn't know that until this week.
But what is it like? Was a guest or?
I don't know if it was like a named guest or if he was just performing on the stage with her. He's definitely there though. There's a picture. I'm certainly not deep enough into the law to clarify that. LORE, not the law, like the police. Don't think they're involved. Sting's too old for it.
Stings. Oh, there we go.
But yeah, it's quite depressing that in the last 20 years, Bad Bunny is now going to be to 2 more Super Bowls than the Dallas Cowboys. So. Good for him. Seems a good guy.
Good for him. Yeah, he won a shitload of Grammys the other night, didn't he? So yeah.
Yeah, and he has the right messaging. Fuck ice. So we stand by that here at Good Teams and Great Teams cover. I will speak for the team.
We're with you.
And what was my one last thing going to be on Bad Bunny? I am interested to see if there is anything political from him because obviously he made his views very clear at the Grammys. Not that there was much doubt about it. Oh, well, that's what I was going to say. I don't presume anyone will be turning into the Turning Point USA halftime show. I don't know if that's got any traction outside of the US, but it's Kid Rock and 3 country singers, I believe. That I don't follow country anyway, but apparently it's 3 like nobodies of country and Kid Rock, which I think when they first devised this as a plan of like, fuck Bad Bunny, we're going to do a patriotic show. I imagine like, if we can't get anyone else, we'll just get Kid Rock. And then like a week before the event, it's like, it's Kid Rock. And like, of course, it was always going to be Kid Rock because you don't have anybody else because you don't have any culture.
I'm just having a look now. I've kind of searched on the computer, which I'm regretting what's going to do to my algorithms now. But Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Bryce, and Gabby Barrett.
All the big names are here, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the big names.
All the stars.
I don't think you can get much more patriotic than Bad Bunny, to be fair. You know, he's from Puerto Rico, a territory of the United States. He is a citizen of the United States as a result. What more do you want?
Good looking fella as well. I see him at the Grammys. I think first time I've actually seen him, I was like, hey, Bad Bunny, not an ugly duckling, certainly. So
he's a very talented fella. He's all the Grammys. He's had, I think it was his 6th album. He's an actor. He was in Happy Gilmore 2.
Okay, I was going to say, he must have been a kiddie then.
He was on
Yeah.
Bullet Train. I think he was on Bullet Train as well.
Bullet Train, yeah. He's Happy Gilmore. He's competed in WWE as a celebrity wrestler.
What?
As apparently quite like flat, actually properly done it as well, not just like turning up for a bit, like 10 minutes on a show or whatever. Like actually committed to it. Very talented fella. Joe, what else have you got?
Well, it's hard to follow that to go back to serious football stuff. I've got a kicker to miss a kick either by hitting the post or crossbar 5-1.
A doink.
A doink. Or either the Patriots kicker to miss a field goal is 2-1, which I can see happening because he's missed quite a few. Any lineman to score TD is 16-1. I feel like Vrabel would love to get an offensive line, a big fella touchdown. So 16-1. And a more simpler one, I do like the Shaheed's rushing odds. So just to get 20 yards is 4-1. To get 40 yards is 15-1. And I just think if they do 1 or 2 and it manages to break through, then that's a nice little bet. And the last 5 games he's hit. So 3 games had 0, but the other games had 31 or 27. So it feels like when they do use him, he still gets the yards. So it's actually the 20-yarder at 4-1.
Excellent. Last couple for me, I suppose I'll talk about. I mentioned I love the AJ Barner props. Love Drake May rushing props. I think they could be good. Your attempts, your yards, your alternate lines on those, I think could be really, really good as well. So I'll be dabbling in those. Real good game, big game. I just think matchup again, just really trying to. I think you're just a bit of the Patriots way. We talked about Belichick earlier. He had those things about just trying to eliminate their biggest threat in the Super Bowls, like that Rams one. It was Marshall. It's not going to be Marshall. It's not going to be Marshall Faulk that beats us. If we get beat, it's not because Marshall Faulk has a big game. Kind of feel they might do that a little bit with JSN. If we're going to get beat, it's not because JSN goes wild on us. Patriots, so I think that opens up Barner, opens up Cooper Kupp to have good games. So I like those props. And then probably my other 2 best bets that I've got so far. Both teams to have a lead in the fourth quarter at just over 2-1, 41-20. I just think this is going to be close. I think a flip-flopping of the lead in the fourth quarter is certainly possible at 41-20, so just over 2-1. And I think it's going to be that close. Walk-off field goal at the end of regulation. 8-1 Super Bowl to end on a winning field goal. I like that. I think it's close games, etc. I think it's good. But we'll have plenty more, so keep your eyes out on our social media channels at GTW_GTC on Instagram, X, TikTok, Blue Sky. You'll get your Charlie Pit there. You'll get all our bets. Because I'm sure there'll be loads. And if you are not following the podcast already, we've only got one more after this season at GTW_GTC on YouTube, and Good Teams and Great Teams cover on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts. We're not Bad Bunny. We don't do all the different things. Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Overcast, and you can catch the audio version only. Gentlemen, that's our last preview done. Enjoy Super Bowl Sunday, whatever you're doing, however you're watching it, whoever you're watching it with. Have a fantastic time. Enjoy the game. And we'll be back for our final episode of the season. Our Super Bowl review will drop on Tuesday. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.